Chapter 460. Come in, this is my home. I haven't cleaned it for more than 20 days, it's a little messy. Song Yifei stuck out his tongue and opened the door that he had not opened for more than 20 days. Liu Nianling, who was standing at the door, was a little hesitant. This was the first time that she had entered another ordinary girl's home, the home of a girl that she got along with as a friend and best friend. This gave Liu Nianling a feeling that she had never felt before. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Liu Nianling laughed heartily and walked into Song Yifei's room. Song Yifei's room was a typical girl's room. The whole space was painted and decorated with pink as the main color. There were all kinds of cute decorations everywhere, giving people a kawaii feeling as soon as they entered. Yifei, your house doesn't look like it hasn't been cleaned for 20 days. Liu Nianling touched the table and found that it was spotless. This was definitely not the appearance of a room that had been left uncleaned for 20 days. Then my mother has been here. Song Yifei also found that his house was very clean. After thinking for a moment, a sweet smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. It should be my mother. I've told her not to clean it. I'll clean it myself when I come back, but she just won't listen. If I knew this earlier, I wouldn't have given her the door key. Yifei, your mother is so nice. Fleeting Time's thoughts were clearly touched by Song Yifei's words, and he muttered to himself in a voice that only he could hear clearly, Song Yifei, you're right. What did you say, Ling? I can't hear you clearly. Song Yifei turned his head and looked at Liu Nianling confusedly. Liu Nianling smiled. Nothing, I'm just curious why your mother doesn't live with you. I heard that after ordinary people become sword bearers, they will move their family to the house in the core area to live. Why doesn't your mother live in your new home? TSK, she's stubborn. No matter how I persuade her, she won't move in. What can I do? Speaking of this topic, Song Yifei couldn't help complaining. She just can't let go of the small hospital she works in. She said that it takes an hour to go to work from the core area to the hospital. Why does she want to waste an hour on the way to work? I've already told her that I have a friend at the core area's medical service center. The director is also my teacher. My mother can come to the medical service center here anytime she wants. It's just a short distance away, but she refused to come. Why? Don't tell me the working conditions in the medical service center of the core region aren't good? Are you too busy with work? Liu Nianling asked curiously. How could it be bad? How could it be busy? Song Yifei stuck out his tongue. When I worked at the medical service center, I spent 2/3 of my time sleeping. The only time I went to work was when I met Gu Han, the unlucky guy. No wonder the conditions there were not good. Then why? Liu Nianling was even more confused. There's no reason. It's just that it's too good and too free. Song Yifei sighed. My mother said that there are too few hospitals in the common area and too few doctors. Every day, there are many patients who can't get treatment in time, and many die because of it. If she goes to the core area, there will be even fewer doctors because more patients will die if she leaves. She thinks that if she leaves the hospital in the common area, all the patients who die will be her fault, so she will never leave the common area. She's really a great mother and a great doctor. Yifei, I admire your mother very much. She's also a hero. Liu Nianling couldn't help but respect Song Yifei after hearing his word. Whatever. Anyway, heroes in this world never have good endings. Song Yifei shook his head. Forget it. Let's not think about it anymore. Ling, let me show you your room. Every room of mine is decorated according to the world's cutest standards. You'll definitely like it. The door of Song Yifei's room was opened again. Song Yifei walked out of the room with a few bags of garbage. Although her mother took away a lot of garbage when she helped her to clean up, she was a girl and could always clean up a lot of garbage if she wanted to. Fortunately, throwing garbage was not a laborious thing. As long as she threw it into the garbage pipe at the door, the garbage would be automatically transported to the garbage disposal station for treatment. Song Yifei didn't have to worry about it at all. Song Yifei threw the garbage into the pipe and was about to go home, but he heard a surprised voice behind him. Master Yifei, you're back. Song Yifei's body trembled, then he closed the door that was originally open. Turning around, he saw Wen Meiyun with a surprised face. She was carrying big and small bags of things, and it seemed that she had just bought some toys. You're the maid of Gohan's family, Song Yifei said hesitantly. Yes, Master Yifei. I'm the exclusive maid of Master Gohan. I wish Master Yifei good health. When Meiyun first bowed, then her whole body quivered, and she was so excited that she was about to open the door of her room. Look at me, since Master Yifei is back, then Master must be back too. The house is still a mess. I have to hurry and clean it up. Don't be so excited, Gohan hasn't come back yet. Song Yifei hesitated for a moment, but still took the initiative to say. Did Master go to the Sword-Bearer's Service Center? That's good, I still have time to clean up the house. When Meiyun breathed a sigh of relief. It would be best if Gohan came back later. She had to clean up the house beautifully, so that she could be worthy of her master's care. No, he's not at the Sword-Bearer's Service Center. Song Yifei patted Wen Meiyun's back. Gohan hasn't returned to Yuzhong City yet, you don't have to be so anxious. Didn't Master set off for the mission with you? Shouldn't he be coming back with you? When Meiyun shuddered, her whole body instantly filled with fear. Could it be that Master, for the exclusive maids of the Sword-Bearers, every time the Sword-Bearers left the city on a mission, it was a torment, because their master might never return. As exclusive maids, countless maids happily waited for their master to return every day, but all they got was a piece of grievous news. Regardless of whether the maids and the sword-bearers had feelings for each other, the death of their master was an extremely tragic thing for the maids. If the maids had the master's flesh and blood, it was still all right, and the sword-bearers would receive a monthly maintenance fee for the maids to raise the master's bloodline. However, if there was no bloodline, the maids would become useless. They would either be chased out of the core area and return to a normal life, or they would be sent back to the maid service center. If they were young, they could still find another master, but if they were old and no one wanted them anymore, they could only wait for death in the maid service center, living the life of a walking corpse. Therefore, when Meiyun heard from Song Yifei that Gohan hadn't returned to Yuzhong City, her first reaction was that Gohan had met with danger during the mission and had unfortunately passed away. Gohan had gone on a mission with Song Yifei, but Song Yifei had returned, but Gohan hadn't. Didn't that mean that he was dead? When Meiyun was already old. Although she was still attractive, it was almost impossible for her to meet a man as considerate as Gohan in this lifetime. There was also her Xiaoye. Without her status as the exclusive maid of the sword-bearers, she didn't even have the spare energy to take care of Xiaoye. Therefore, when Meiyun was in a state of extreme fear, she was afraid to hear the news that Gohan had died in battle. Don't think too much. Gohan is fine now. At least when we were separated, he was absolutely safe and alive. Song Yifei held Wen Meiyun's hand. I can't tell you too much. All you need to know is that Gohan had something to do and left us. Once he's done, he'll return to Yuzhong City. Gohan is very capable, he'll be fine. I see. I got it. Thank you, Master Yifei. When Meiyun's racing heart finally calmed down temporarily. It was good that Gohan was fine. It was good that he was fine. Go back and take good care of Gohan's house. Wait for him to come back. Song Yifei thought for a moment and added, Yuzhong City may be under attack soon. You have to be prepared. Once you hear the alarm, go to the underground shelter immediately. The deeper the shelter, the better. Do you understand? Is the great invasion really coming? When Meiyun's hand trembled again. Didn't the TV say that the attack has been stopped and that it won't reach Yuzhong City? You only need to believe 5 out of 10 words in the news. Anything more is just **t. Song Yifei spoke the truth. But it's good that you know this. Don't tell anyone else. buy enough food and stay at home. Be ready to take shelter at any time. This is the best way. Okay, I'm going back. Take care of yourself. Goodbye. After that, Song Yifei waved his hand and opened the door to go back. When Mei Yun shivered and immediately opened the door to go back, the entire corridor fell into silence again. You can't go this time. Yuzhang City needs your overall management. If you go, the whole city will be in chaos. Let me go this time, Lu Lei said firmly to Zhu Wudao in the meeting room of the Sword Committee. After a thorough discussion, Zhu Wudao finally decided to send the most elite investigation team to infiltrate the Miling mountain range to investigate whether things were really like what Liuyan Ling had brought back. Yuan Ko was trying to mine the Emperor's Seed dimensional crystals in the Miling mountain range and activate the creation divinity to destroy the whole of Yuzhang City. This was a very dangerous mission. In a place where Yuan Ko had gathered in large numbers, sending ordinary sword-bearers to investigate would be suicidal. Therefore, Zhu Wudao decided to send an immortal sword-bearer to personally lead the team. This was the only way to bring back the news. There were only 2 immortal sword-bearers in Yuzhang City. The immortal sword-bearers who would lead the team could only be Zhu Wudao and Lu Lei. After the decision was made, Lu Lei's first request was for him to lead the team. However, Zhu Wudao rejected him. This time, Zhu Wudao had to do it himself. Because you are the Sword Pavilion Master. Zhu Wudao snorted. Have you forgotten the rules of the previous Sword Pavilion Masters? You are not allowed to leave the city for more than an hour, and you are not allowed to leave the Sword Pavilion for more than 5 hours. Your task is to protect the Sword Pavilion of Yuzhang City. Apart from that, you don't have to do anything else. Don't try to use the rules of the Sword Pavilion to pressure me, Lu Lei said agitatedly. My ranking on the Immortal Sword leaderboard is higher than yours, and I am stronger than you. I, the Cloudy Sword Immortal, should lead the team. Why don't you let me go? Old man, don't forget that you are holding the lifeblood of the whole of Yuzhang City in your hands. Zhu Wudao yelled at Lu Lei. Everyone in Yuzhang City, including me, will die. It doesn't matter. As long as the Sword Pavilion is here, Yuzhang City can be rebuilt. But if the Sword Pavilion is finished, even if everyone in Yuzhang City survives, Yuzhang City will still be completely destroyed. As the Sword Pavilion Master, you know the pros and cons of this better than I do. Think about it yourself. Zhu Wudao kicked the table and disappeared from the conference room, leaving a speechless Lu Lei sighing at the empty sky. Chapter 461. Jianya district of Nanjing City was the central urban area of ancient Nanjing City. It could be seen from the many tall high-rise buildings that this area was a prosperous place in the past. Unfortunately, after 1,000 years, this area had become a city mixed with forests and reinforced concrete. Most of the roads had disappeared and were replaced by patches of soil. Tenacious trees rose from the soil and shrouded the entire city under the shade of the trees. Gohan looked up at the internet and could even see the wreckage of many cars fused with the trunks of the trees. Parts of these cars were like dumplings that grew with the tree trunk. It was as if the cars were part of the trees. In order to survive and grow, these plants are willing to work so hard. They're willing to fuse their bodies with steel to grow stronger. This is the spirit. It's really touching. Aren't we humans the same as these trees? Gohan could not help but lament when he saw the scene. P.S. This description isn't an exaggeration. If an iron fellow leans against the tree trunk for a long time without moving, it will be absorbed into its body by the ever-thickening tree. There's a story in real life. During World War II, the owner of a bicycle locked his bicycle beside a tree and went to war. He never returned. More than 60 years later, people accidentally found the bicycle and found that it had become one with the trunk of the tree. You can go to Baidu for this news. There are pictures and everything. It's the real deal. Mr. Gohan, if you have the time to feed yourself chicken soup, why don't you take a look at the front? I think we're surrounded. Misaka Mikoto patted Gohan's shoulder. Gohan looked up and saw a group of people walking toward him in a trance not far away. There seemed to be a lot of them, at least 100 of them. Of course, Gohan did not think that these people were humans. There were no living human survivors in the ruins of Nanjing City. There was only one possibility for these people, and that was Yuan Ko, who ruled the entire old Nanjing City. Zombies. As expected, when these figures gradually approached, Gohan could clearly see their appearances. They were wearing all kinds of torn clothes, and the surface of their bodies was completely rotten. Stinking black liquid kept flowing out of their bodies. Some parts of their bodies were missing, revealing the white bones inside. However, the loss of flesh and skin did not seem to affect their movement. They still walked firmly towards Gohan's position. Yuan Ko name: Normal Zombie. Level: Mouse 2-dimensional world. Movie world HP: 2 stars attack, 1 star agility, half a star magic, none. Ability: it doesn't have any special abilities. If it weren't for the fact that it doesn't feel pain, it would be able to attack its enemies even if it only had a head left. However, its combat power is even lower than that of an ordinary person. His main method of attack was to use his fingernails and the teeth in his mouth to attack his enemies. It was worth noting that their teeth carried a deadly virus. Ultimate skill: Na. Introduction: a type of Yuan Ko from the movie world. It is commonly believed to have originated from movies such as Resident Evil, The Walking Dead, and Zombies World War. It has no intelligence and is the lowest level of Yuan Ko. Any sword mistress can take on 10 opponents at once. As long as you don't get bitten, you don't have to worry about anything. Battle record: it has appeared many times in the real world. The specific battle record cannot be calculated, but it is estimated that it has fought more than 100,000 battles in 1,000 years. Battle result: the number of sword bearers who died at the hands of normal zombies was extremely low. 1 year ago there were less than 500 of them. Most of them were young ancient sword bearers. Among these 500 people, most of them did not fight against a single normal zombie, Yuan Ko. Instead, they died under the combined attacks of normal zombies and other high-level zombies. Battle suggestion: for novice ancient sword bearers, if there are less than 10 normal zombies, please leave them to your sword mistress. If there are more than 10 normal zombies without teammates, consider escaping. Please judge according to your own information. This really isn't a dangerous Yuan Ko. If you can't beat it, you can run. This was the advice Gohan received from his personal terminal after scanning. Gohan had already memorized this information. He only scanned it to make sure he didn't miss anything. However, there was one thing that the information didn't mention. The danger that normal zombies posed to sword bearers was not as simple as the information made it out to be. If one was really bitten, it would be very troublesome. The teeth of these zombies contained a fatal virus that humans had yet to find an effective antidote for. Within 1 to 72 hours of being poisoned, a normal person would turn into a new zombie. However, this was only the effect of a normal person's bite. If it was a sword bearer, the effect would be greatly reduced. Most ancient sword bearers could survive for 10 days to half a month without being infected. As long as they took some time to drink a normal antidote, they would be able to survive for another month. After a month, the sword bearer's immune system would be able to completely eliminate the virus. Therefore, the Sword Committee didn't pay much attention to this poison. They didn't even bother to write about it in the information. In fact, Gohan didn't care about the poison. He pulled out Qingpin's sword and released it. Then he patted Qingpin's head and said, "Come, I'll leave these Yuan Ko to you, Qingpin. You're ordering Qingpin around like a coolie again, you stinky Gohan," Qingpin muttered. Then he looked at his opponent. "Wow, Gohan, they're so disgusting." The poor were immediately disgusted by the appearance of these Yuan Yu. This was very normal. Any young lady who saw such a Yuan Yu would feel disgusted from the bottom of her heart. You call this disgusting? If I let you see that brother Tuan Yuanjun, who is as expensive as a grass mud horse, won't you be scared to death? Misaka Mikoto pouted. She couldn't help but blush when she thought about how she looked when she saw the noble Yuan Ko. It was too embarrassing. It was too embarrassing. That was not how a free universe level should behave. On the other hand, under Gohan's strict orders, Qinpin reluctantly picked up her small sword and started to kill the group of hundreds of normal Yuan Ko. If it was Qinpin who had just finished synchronizing, she wouldn't be able to fight 2 or 3 normal zombies, let alone 100 normal zombies. Qinpin would have a hard time fighting them. It wasn't that Qinpin didn't have enough strength. It was purely because her swordsmanship was a mess at that time. She would be lucky if she didn't injure herself during the sword dance. She couldn't expect her to use any effective swordsmanship. However, after going through the tempering of the Great Trial Array, this penniless swordsman's swordsmanship had already reached a certain level. Oh, a certain level was an understatement. This penniless swordsman's swordsmanship had already surpassed the boundary of a certain level. In the ancient world of wuxia, this penniless swordsman could be considered a famous swordsman. Moreover, Qinpin had reached the first level. His physical fitness had increased by 2.5 times. In reality, his physical fitness was about the same as a sword maiden's. Killing the lowest level of Yuan Ko was as easy as chopping melons and vegetables for him. On the surface, the 1.2-meter-tall Qinpin running into the horde of strange uncles and bad zombies was like sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth. He would definitely be eaten on the spot. However, in reality, it was as if a heavy truck had charged in. Wherever Qinpin went, the zombies' heads would fly. Qinpin didn't waste a single slash. Every slash was aimed at the zombie's neck. Moreover, every slash was clean and efficient, and the zombie's head was chopped off. There was never a need for a second slash. In game terms, Qinpin's attack power had exceeded the zombie's health point. 1 slash was all it took to kill the zombies. In just a short while, the zombies were reduced by half. Soon, they would all die under Qinpin's sword. Gohan, what level is this sword maiden? What's her name? Misaka Mikoto asked Gohan after watching Qinpin's performance. She's Qinpin. She's my sword maiden, an ancient sword maiden. Gohan smiled when he said Qinpin's name. He then grabbed Misaka Mikoto's arm and pulled her to his side. Misaka Mikoto unsheathed her heavenly sword. All she saw was a flash of silver light from the sword. Then, she heard the sound of watermelons falling to the ground beside her. So, you've noticed. Misaka Mikoto turned around and saw a few more zombie corpses beside her. Their heads had been chopped off by Gohan's heavenly sword that was dripping with blood. Misaka Mikoto had noticed that some of the Yuan Ko were trying to ambush her and Gohan from behind. However, Misaka Mikoto did not tell Gohan about it. She wanted to see how miserable Gohan would look when he was ambushed by the Yuan Ko. She was not worried that Gohan would be injured by the Yuan Ko. Gohan had a shield around him. The Yuan Ko would not be able to break through his shield unless they surrounded him and attacked him for a few hours. As for Misaka Mikoto herself, although Misaka Mikoto had lost the ability to attack others, it was an entirely different matter if someone attacked her first. The electric current coursing through Misaka Mikoto's body would let the genin who tried to ambush her understand the principle of being a genin. I'm the sword master. If I can't even notice these ambushes, how can I be the sword master? Gohan took out a handkerchief from his dimensional pocket. He wiped the blood off the heavenly sword and put it back into his scabbard. Misaka Mikoto stared at the heavenly sword for a while. I have a question. I'm not sure if I should ask it. Misaka Mikoto hesitated for a while. Ask away. What do you want to ask? Gohan looked at Misaka Mikoto curiously. You're a famed sword-tier sword wielder. Why did you lie to your friend and say that you're a treasure sword-tier sword wielder? Misaka Mikoto asked the question in her mind. Chapter 462. I'm a saber-level sword wielder. I'm not a famed sword wielder. Gohan had a strange expression on his face when he heard Misaka Mikoto's words. Misaka Mikoto was even more certain of her speculation when she saw Gohan's expression. Although I don't have much contact with sword wielder, I've been friends with I Ching. Just like you and I, we've fought side by side before. Misaka Mikoto's gaze landed on the heavenly sword in Gohan's hand. I've seen Lady Heavenly before, whether it's her real body or her real body. You can't lie to me. The sword in your hand isn't a Doyu sword. It's the heavenly sword wielder. Your real saber-level sword wielder is Lady Heavenly, am I right? Gohan could only smile bitterly when he heard Misaka Mikoto's words. Since you've recognized me, what else can I do? That's right, I'm indeed a famed sword wielder. Heavenly is my saber-level sword wielder. Gu Yun is my famed sword wielder, Doyu sword. Why? Why did you hide it from me? To hide the fact that you're a famed sword wielder? Misaka Mikoto pondered for a while before a sudden realization dawned on her. No, I don't think you're hiding it from me. You're hiding it from Liuyan Ling and your friends. You gave your famed sword-rank sword mistress a name with the same surname as yourself and even lied about her being your sister. You want to hide the fact that you are a famed sword-rank sword wielder from your friends. That must be it. Misaka Mikoto's mind instantly came up with a shocking truth. Hee, Ms. Misaka, I've really underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be able to guess everything. Gohan let out a long sigh and bowed deeply to Misaka Mikoto. He begged sincerely, Ms. Misaka, I hope that you can help me hide the fact that I'm a famed sword-level sword wielder. Please, I'm begging you. I came all the way to Nanjing City to save you. I need an explanation. Misaka Mikoto stared into Gohan's eyes. Although this is an internal matter between you humans and I have no right to interfere, I don't want to fight with a liar. Please give me an explanation. Alright, I'll tell you. Gohan raised his head and looked at the sky. You're right. In fact, I've been a famed swordsman for a long time. The Doyu sword is my famed sword mistress. They've always thought that I'm just a sword wielder of the sword grade, and that Gu Yun is my biological sister. You're saying that Doyu is your sister? Why did you hide it from them? Can't you just tell them? Won't they be happy that you're a famed sword-level sword wielder? Misaka Mikoto asked. I'm not trying to hide my identity as a famed sword-level sword wielder, and I'm not trying to make her my sister's identity either. It's because the Doyu sword's identity is too special. Gohan took out the Doyu sword again and released her into Gu Yun's body. Brother, I'm sorry. Little Yun has caused you trouble. Brother, you've worked too hard to hide Little Yun's identity. Gu Yun threw herself into Gohan's arms as soon as she was released. She sobbed silently. Gohan had to give Gu Yun 100 marks for her eyes. Ms. Misaka, you know a lot about sword mistresses. Look at Little Yun. Do you think she's a natural sword mistress or a man-made one? Gohan suddenly asked. Is it that hard to answer? Anyone can see that Doyu is a natural sword mistress with her own soul. She's not like the machine-like sword mistress that you guys created, Misaka Mikoto answered casually. Misaka Mikoto replied casually. However, she soon realized something and her jaw dropped. Are you trying to tell me that she's actually a man-made blade master in Doyu? That's right. Gu Yun, or Doyu, is a man-made sword mistress. Gohan said helplessly. If word gets out that Gu Yun is a man-made sword mistress, we humans will definitely capture her and lock her up in a laboratory. We'll figure out how Gu Yun has her own soul even though she's a man-made sword mistress. If all man-made sword mistresses have their own souls, the strength of humans will increase tremendously. As the leader of humans, it's an irresistible temptation. However, Gu Yun will be treated inhumanely as a test subject. She might even become their toy. They will dismantle her, assemble her, or even disassemble her. However, I don't think Ms. Misaka can understand the pain she's going through. Gohan said in a sorrowful tone. At the same time, Gu Yun began to cry as well. Gohan did not know that what he said was like a knife stabbing deep into Misaka Mikoto's heart. Who says I don't know the pain that Gu Yun has to go through? How do you know that it hasn't happened to me before? Misaka Mikoto cried out of the blue. Then, she and Gu Han fell into a state of grief. Ms. Misaka, have you gone through the same thing as Gu Yun? Are there people who dare to take your family, friends, or even your sister for research and disassembly? Gohan asked. Let's not talk about the past. Misaka Mikoto shook her head and nodded. She looked at Gohan as if they were in the same boat. I know your pain. Don't worry, I'll keep this a secret for you. I won't tell anyone that Gu Yun is a sword mistress in front of any human, Yuan Ko, or any freelancer. Gu Yun is just your sister, that's all. Thank you, Ms. Misaka. Gohan held Misaka Mikoto's hand tightly and sighed in his heart. Finally, this matter is over. According to Gohan's original plan, Gu Yun would follow Liu Ling and Song Yifei back to Yuzhong City as his sister. Then, there would be no doubt about it. Unfortunately, Gohan could not do that because the sword mistress must be a certain distance away from the wielder. Otherwise, the wielder would be forced to return to the sword. That was the rule for all sword mistresses. Therefore, Gu Yun could not follow Liu Ling and the rest back. However, it did not make sense for Gohan to bring Gu Yun to Nanjing City. No wielder would put their loved ones in danger. Therefore, Gohan asked Gu Yun to leave a note for Liu Ling. Gu Yun said that she did not want to be separated from her brother and wanted to be with him. She then hid in the Qingpin's scabbard and followed Gohan. After all, Liu Ling and Song Yifei were the ones who saw Gu Yun escape from the Qingpin's scabbard. Therefore, it was easy to fool Liu Ling. However, it was not so easy to fool Misaka Mikoto. It would be troublesome if Gu Yun pretended to be his sister during the battle. Not only would he not be able to use the power of the Doyu, he would also have to make Gu Yun pretend to be a weak child and waste a lot of energy to protect Gu Yun. In Nanjing City, which was filled with zombies, it was no different from asking for trouble. He had forced himself to wear the halo of being wiped out. Gohan would never do such a stupid thing. Therefore, after Gohan brought Gu Yun out, he told Misaka Mikoto that Gu Yun was his sword mistress, the Doi. Misaka Mikoto and Liu Ling parted ways after spending less than 2 hours with each other. They only talked about the Creator's Godhead and never talked about Gu Yun and Gohan's sword mistress. Therefore, Misaka Mikoto was completely clueless about Gohan's actual situation. Naturally, she believed that Gu Yun was Gohan's sword mistress. It seemed like that was enough. As long as Misaka Mikoto hid the heavenly sword and let Misaka Mikoto think that the Doyu was Gohan's sword mistress, everything would be fine. However, there was a huge problem. After Misaka Mikoto regained her strength, she would definitely return to Yuzhong City to fight Loki. At that time, it was inevitable that she would meet Liu Ling and the rest again. If they were to chat for a while and she revealed that Gohan's sword mistress was the Doyu, everything would be exposed. Moreover, when Gohan fought alongside them, should he use the Doyu or the heavenly sword? These were all problems that could not be solved. Gohan had to come up with a perfect plan, a perfect explanation that would not be exposed. Therefore, the most important deception in Gohan's life began. Gohan purposely revealed the heavenly sword to make Misaka Mikoto doubt him. Everyone knew what happened next. Under Gohan's deception, Misaka Mikoto successfully accepted the complicated setup. She agreed to help Liu Ling and the rest to cover up Gohan's lie. It was a perfect plan. Gu Yun, who had been working hard to cooperate with her brother, secretly gave her brother a thumbs up for his intelligence. On the other hand, when Gohan had completed his deception plan, Qingpin had successfully killed the last normal zombie. A large dimensional vortex appeared in the sky and all the zombies were sucked into it. This was another characteristic of the dimensional vortex. If the dead Yuan Ko had come to the real world from the same dimension, there would not be a single dimensional vortex. Instead, a large dimensional vortex would appear and absorb all the Yuan Ko from the same dimension. There was an advantage to this. It saved Qing Pin the trouble of having to absorb the sword essence from one dimensional vortex at a time. The dimensional vortices would disappear after a short while. Based on the speed at which Qing Pin killed Yuan Ko, she would only be able to absorb a few dimensional vortices. The rest would be wasted. Now, Qing Pin only needed to absorb the sword essence from a large dimensional vortex. Guhan did not know whether to laugh or cry when he saw that Qing Pin had forgotten to absorb the sword essence from the dimensional vortex. If it were not for Guhan's reminder to Qing Pin, the 100 or so Yuan Ko's sword essence would have been wasted. One should not underestimate these sword essences. The sword essences of 100 mouse-level Yuan Ko added together would be around 200 to 300 quarks. "All right, Qing Pin, Ms. Misaka, let's catch," Guhan said as he picked up Qing Pin. However, as soon as Qing Pin touched Guhan, he felt that something was wrong. What's going on? Why was Qing Qiu in Guhan's hand so naked, as if he wasn't wearing any clothes? Guhan lowered his head to take a look. Goodness gracious, Qing Popper had unknowingly taken off all his clothes. He had even taken off his underwear. Chapter 463. Qing Pin, what are you doing? Guhan hurriedly took out his big shirt from his dimensional pocket and covered Qing Pin with it. Although there should be no one else around except for Yuan Ko, Guhan still felt like his precious thing was seen by others. The clothes are stained with strange things. It's so disgusting. Qing Pin doesn't want to wear it. Qing Pin wants to take a bath. Qing Pin waved his two small arms and said. Guhan then understood that it was probably because when Qing Pin killed Yuan Ko's blood stained his clothes, so he felt disgusted. However, as these Yuan Ko corpses were absorbed by the dimensional vortex, the blood that belonged to Yuan Ko should have disappeared with them. According to the rules of the dimensional vortex, anything that Yuan Ko brought from that world must return to that world with him after his death, and blood was no exception. Guhan looked down at the clothes that Qing Pin had thrown away just now. Sure enough, it was still clean without a trace of blood on it. But even so, a normal person would probably not be willing to wear these clothes. Hey! Gu Yun, who saw all this, stuck her tongue out at Qing Pin. Shameless, shameless, taking off your clothes. Shameless. Humph, Qing Pin's body is sh*t from Guhan's stomach. What's the big deal about letting Guhan take a look? Hearing Gu Yun's words, not only was Qing Pin not shy, but she also puffed up her small chest and then wanted to pull off Guhan's shirt that was draped over her body to continue letting Guhan see her tender little body. You better know your place. Guhan knocked on Qing Pin's head to stop Qing Pin's idiotic behavior. He then smiled bitterly at Misaka Mikoto, who was staring at him with her mouth agape. Ms. Misaka, I think it's getting dark soon. It's too early to rush to the Rainflower Terrace today. Moreover, it's too disadvantageous for us sword-bearers at night. Why don't we find a place to set up camp and set off tomorrow morning? Okay. No problem. Misaka Mikoto snapped out of her daze. She looked at the cloudless sky and nodded in agreement. Don't worry, don't worry. We can't rush things until the heavens decide. The heavenly secret hasn't arrived? What do you mean? Guhan shook his head and began to look for a suitable campsite. Camping in the ruins of the city was actually much safer than camping in the wild because there were all kinds of broken walls to protect them. As long as they didn't encounter any Yuan Shen that could sense humans, they would usually be able to pass the night safely. However, Nanjing City's Yuan Ko could be considered as a Yuan Ko that could detect humans. Their eyesight was not that good. Most of them did not even have eyeballs. All of them had myopia of more than 1,300 degrees and did not rely on their eyesight to detect their enemies. They relied on their evolved sense of smell and hearing to detect their enemies. Therefore, when choosing a campsite, they had to choose an enclosed and soundproof room to avoid the zombies' sense of smell and hearing. Most of Nanjing City was in ruins. Most of the houses there had either collapsed or turned into crumbs like biscuit crumbs. Only a few buildings remained the same as they were 1,000 years ago. Nanjing City's Jianya Senior High School was one of them. Why did Gohan know the name of this building? It was very simple. It was written on the school signboard. As expected of a gold-stamped signboard, one could still see the words on the school gate even after 1,000 years had passed. Gohan carried Guyun with one hand while Chinpin, who was wrapped in Gohan's shirt, sat in his chest pocket. He sighed as he looked at the school that was still standing. I've read some of the documents that were left behind. I've often seen people criticizing China's education system before the apocalypse. However, looking at this scene, all the high-rise buildings that should have collapsed have collapsed. Only this school is still standing. From this, it can be seen that the documents are not entirely trustworthy. Is that so? Misaka Mikoto looked up and down at the school that was still in good condition. She sighed in her heart. I thought I'd never come back to school again. Who would have thought that I'd have to live in school again? I wonder what will happen to Shangpantai after I'm gone. Is Ms. Misaka's school? Gohan recalled Misaka Mikoto's badge and the word Chang behind it. Could that be Shangpantai's school badge? That's right. Until I left my world, I was still a student at Doikan Gantai. I've fought millions of times, but I'm not even a third-year junior high school student. Misaka Mikoto could not help but laugh. Indeed, she had fought her way through the entire world, but she was still a second-year junior high school student in Huaxia. It's a pity that this school only has high schools. It doesn't have a junior high school like yours. Otherwise, you can experience what a junior high school in Huaxia is like. Guhan walked out of the janitor's office at the entrance of the school. He was holding a gray school brochure in his hand. This was the best-preserved brochure that Gohan could find. The rest of the brochure had either turned into a pile of ashes or lost all of its colors, leaving only a crisp, thin piece of paper. That's great. It's been more than 1,000 years, and I've never been to a high school. It's a good opportunity for me to see what a high school looks like. It'll fulfill one of my wishes. Misaka Mikoto said expectantly. It was obvious that she was speaking from the bottom of her heart. All right, let's take a look together. I'll also clear the entire high school of zombies, so that they won't ambush us when we set up camp. Gohan nodded and accompanied Misaka Mikoto to tour Nanjing Jianya Senior High School. There was not much to see in Nanjing Jianya Senior High School. Similar to most high schools, it had a standard school building, field, laboratory building, cafeteria, and dormitories. It was not an outstanding school. Although the school's equipment was well preserved, almost everything would shatter at the slightest touch. For example, the blackboard in the classroom of Year 2. With just a light touch from Gohan, black dust fell from the blackboard as if it was snowing. In the end, the blackboard turned into a whiteboard. It was quite a comical sight. There were also some language and mathematics textbooks on the desks, as well as various reference books for simulation exercises. However, when Gohan's hands touched them, the entire desks instantly collapsed like sand sculptures. As for the chemistry laboratory, the best preserved items were the glass bottles. Glass was an extremely tough material under normal circumstances. Not to mention 1,000 years, it could even preserve glass from 10 million years ago. Therefore, the only things preserved in the chemistry laboratory were the glass bottles that contained various solutions. Misaka Mikoto curiously picked up a glass bottle labeled concentrated sulfuric acid. She opened the bottle cap and sniffed it. However, she did not find the pungent smell that acid should have. In the end, she poured a little on Gohan's hand. In the end, nothing happened to Gohan's hand. It seemed that even concentrated sulfuric acid had become an ordinary liquid after 1,000 years. Misaka Mikoto toured the entire school with great interest. What surprised Gohan was that there were no skeletons of students in the school. In other words, the students of this school had evacuated in an orderly manner during the apocalypse. The principal of this school was an extremely capable person. He was able to evacuate all the students in such a chaotic environment. Unfortunately, the principal did not know that Nanjing was not the only one under attack. The whole world was under attack. There was no safe place on Earth for them to evacuate. What they were doing was just a futile struggle. It was unknown how many of these students would survive in the end. Not only were there no skeletons of students in this school, but there was also no sign of Yuan Ko. Gohan and Misaka Mikoto walked through a few buildings but did not find any trace of Yuan Ko. In fact, along the way, other than the 100 zombies at the beginning, Gohan rarely encountered a group of zombies. The zombies in the entire Jianya district could be considered rare. He didn't know what the situation was like in the neighboring Yuatai district. It would be great if it was the same as Jianya district. After walking through the entire school, the sun gradually set. Gohan chose the second floor of a dormitory as his campsite. He chose this place because the dormitory looked very sturdy and there was no danger of it collapsing in a short period of time. Most importantly, the beds in the dormitory were made of pear wood. As long as the furniture was not placed in an environment that was prone to corrosion, it would maintain its original hardness even after thousands of years. Therefore, the wooden beds could still be used after a simple cleaning. Gohan could then experience the feeling of a wooden bed from 1,000 years ago. However, the dormitory's bed was made of pear wood. Our Chinese school style is not like this. And years later, Gohan found out by chance that this building was a product of the 1950s. He could not help but lament that the people of that era were really realistic. After settling down at the campsite, he used a simple sword aura to clean up all the dust. Gohan found a spacious place and set up his tent. He used the bathroom inside to bathe Chinpin. Chinpin the little rascal kept feeling that there was a stench on his body. Gohan washed him a few times, but it was not enough to satisfy him. Gohan cleaned up the bathroom for a long time. Misaka Mikoto had nothing to do in the dormitory that she had chosen. She carefully looked around the dormitory. Then, she found a small label on a wooden bed. It must have been pasted by the owner of the bed. Misaka Mikoto took a closer look at it and found the name, Gu Xuanwu, written on it. Gu Xuanwu. What a familiar name. Misaka Mikoto was stunned when she saw the name. Then, a person appeared in her mind. This can't be his bed, right? Misaka Mikoto had a strange expression on her face. She did not know what relationship she had with Gu Xuanwu. Chapter 464. Misaka Mikoto wiped the paper forcefully, and the name that was written in black ink was completely erased. After 1,000 years, the words were just remnants on the paper. After Misaka Mikoto erased Gu Xuanwu's name, she continued to rummage through the bed to see if she could find anything else. Misaka Mikoto managed to find something interesting in the seams of the bed. This was a full-color book, and it seemed to be made of high-quality double-sided copperplate paper. Each page was about 2 millimeters thick in his hand. The paper was expensive, but it could withstand the ravages of time. For example, now that 1,000 years had passed, the cover of the book was still bright in color, as if it had just been produced. Why does the person on the cover look so familiar? Misaka Mikoto wiped the dust off the cover of the full-color booklet and realized that the cover of the booklet looked very familiar. This was an anime book. It was drawn with two young girls hugging each other face to face. They even used a very strange angle to expose their little white panties. Logically speaking, wasn't this angle a little too unscientific? The dress obviously violated Newton's first law. I feel like I've seen these two people somewhere before. Misaka Mikoto realized that the cover of the booklet was written in Japanese instead of Chinese. Moreover, there was a big R18 stamp on the bottom right corner of the cover. That meant that anyone below the age of 18 was not allowed to buy or read the booklet. It was obvious that Misaka Mikoto knew what was inside the full-color booklet when she saw the big mark. It was nothing more than some filthy story in a booklet. It was not like Misaka Mikoto had never encountered such things before. Misaka Mikoto was only 14 years old when she left that world. Theoretically, she was not allowed to come into contact with such things. Of course, Misaka Mikoto would not buy such shameful things. However, Misaka Mikoto had a pervert by her side. That pervert would often keep these booklets on his bed. Over time, Misaka Mikoto learned what the booklet was. Under normal circumstances, Misaka Mikoto would not even look at such things. However, the two young girls on the cover were too familiar. Misaka Mikoto was very interested in the content of the booklet. Love and Desire Sisters. This is a Yuri book. Misaka Mikoto looked at the name on the cover. Took her a lot of effort to remember what the Japanese word meant. The Freedom Metropolis was made up mainly of Waxians. Naturally, the official language was Mandarin. It had been a few hundred years since Misaka Mikoto had seen Japanese. She was not used to seeing the familiar Japanese again. I'll just look at the first page and see the name of the owner of the booklet. Misaka Mikoto comforted herself as she carefully flipped to the first page of the notebook. Chu-chun, early in the morning. The first scene on the first page was a scene of a girl lifting up another girl's skirt. However, the two girls were not the girls on the cover. Oh, it's also a very energetic fan's panty today. Wait, why do I feel like I've seen this scene somewhere before? Misaka Mikoto had an ominous feeling after reading the first page of the manga. The scene was too familiar. The two people in the manga were slowly matching up with the figures in her memory. Next was the second panel. Chu-chun, whose skirt was lifted, went to complain to the girl on the cover, who had her hair tied in two ponytails and two bow ties. The girl immediately patted her chest and promised Chu-chun that she had a way to deal with the girl who lifted her skirt. She could leave everything to her. The next day, the girl came to lift up Chu-chun's skirt again. But when she did, she was stunned. She covered her mouth and said in disbelief, "Chu-chun, your panties." Ha 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 ha. At this time, the ponytailed girl jumped out with a pair of panties in her hand and laughed. Lazy. Chu-chun told me that she doesn't like others to see her panties, so I helped her take them off. Aren't I very smart? Ha 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 ha. Bastard. Pervert. Misaka Mikoto threw the book that had been passed down for 1,000 years on the ground after reading that page. Her face was as red as a monkey's butt. Misaka Mikoto would be a complete idiot if she could not guess whose notebook this belonged to when the names Chu-chun and Lazy were placed together. This notebook belonged to Misaka Mikoto. She was actually reading her own notebook. Oh my god. Misaka Mikoto was so embarrassed that she was about to collapse. Misaka Mikoto felt that the characters on the cover looked familiar at first due to the childish style of the manga and the fact that Misaka Mikoto had subconsciously excluded herself from it. She did not expect it to be her. Now that Chu-chun and Tear's names had been pointed out, if Misaka Mikoto still could not tell that the two young girls on the cover were her and Kuriko, then Misaka Mikoto would. Sorry, Misaka Mikoto did not know how to describe her feelings. What should she do to express herself? I'm going to tear this book apart. This book must not be left in this world. After Misaka Mikoto threw the book away, she immediately picked it up again. She planned to dismember it and find a place to burn it. From then on, she would get rid of the evidence. However, when Misaka Mikoto picked up the book, she could not help but stop herself from tearing it apart. She had only read one page, and there were at least 10 more pages at the end of the book. What was the plot after that? She did not appear on the first page. It seemed that this was most likely Chu-chun, Tears, and Kuriko's book. I'm looking at my friends' books for their own good. Misaka Mikoto persuaded herself as she slowly opened the second page of the book with trembling hands. Misaka Mikoto was too naive. Or rather, she was deceiving herself. Think about it, which of the super electromagnetic guns books did not have sister canon in their guild? Moreover, Misaka Mikoto was clearly drawn on the cover of the book. As expected, the plot on the second page took a 180-degree turn. Misaka Mikoto appeared on the screen with her hands cuffed. Ha ha ha, sister, you've finally become my slave. I'm going to have you today. Are you kidding me? How could I possibly be cuffed by a pair of handcuffs? I'm a level 5 super electromagnetic gun. Just a little bit of electricity can destroy these handcuffs. Does this author have any basic scientific knowledge? Misaka Mikoto could not help but complain when she saw the plot. However, Kuriko took the initiative to explain. It turned out that it was a solar storm, a alignment of the 9 stars, and a series of strange coincidences that led to the day when all the people with superpowers lost their superpowers. For the entire day, all the people with superpowers could not use their superpowers. Are you kidding me? I've been in that world for so many years. Why haven't I heard of such a strange day? Misaka Mikoto continued to complain. Unfortunately, her complaints did not change anything. The plot of the book progressed quickly. Kuriko, who had Misaka Mikoto under control, naturally did a lot of things that the author, Junwa, could not write. Logically speaking, when Misaka Mikoto saw herself naked on the book, she should have torn the book to shreds. However, unexpectedly, Misaka Mikoto continued to read. Her forehead was covered in sweat, and her skin was dyed pink. The insulated swimsuit between her legs was slightly damp. However, that did not stop Misaka Mikoto from reading. She was very serious about it. She almost took out a pen and a notebook to take note. This is too shameful. Misaka Mikoto finally finished reading the last page. The ending was, of course, a delightful one. Half of the page was covered in white liquid with Misaka Mikoto and Misaka Mikoto. She did not know what was in the author's head. How did the two girls end up with white liquid when they were having a good time together? No one knew how they felt when they read their own full-color book. However, they had reason to believe that Misaka Mikoto knew how it felt from that day onward. This filthy thing. Misaka Mikoto was a typical person who scolded the chef after eating and scolded the author after reading the book. This filthy thing shouldn't exist in this world. I'm going to destroy it completely. Misaka Mikoto carefully poked her head out and looked at her surroundings. When she realized that there was nothing out of the ordinary, she immediately prepared to tear the book to shreds. However, at that moment, the sound of Gohan's footsteps and Qingpin's childish voice could be heard coming from the door. Damn it, I don't have time to tear the book. Misaka Mikoto was shocked. She did not care about shredding the book anymore. She grabbed the book and threw it out of the window. That was close. That's great. Misaka Mikoto let out a long sigh of relief. However, she did not expect to hear Gohan's gentle voice the next moment. Miss Misaka, you dropped something. Fortunately, I was quick enough to pick it up for you. Chapter 465. Misaka Mikoto did not know how she spent the rest of the night. Ever since the book fell into Gohan's hands, she did not face Gohan. She lay on the bed alone, facing the wall as if she was reflecting on her mistake. Gohan cooperated and did not say a word. It was as if he had never seen the book. Misaka Mikoto let out a long sigh of relief. If Gohan had said a single word about the book, Misaka Mikoto would have had the urge to kill herself. However, Gohan being tactful did not mean that Qingpin would be the same. Although Qingpin was small, his eyes were very sharp. He saw through the content of the book and asked cutely, Gohan, why is the lady in the book not wearing any clothes? How will he explain it? Misaka Mikoto's heart tightened when she heard Qingpin's question. She secretly guessed, will he be like my mother and tell me that it's something that kids don't need to know? It's art. She did not expect Gohan to come up with such an answer. Art doesn't wear clothes. Long Xiaoyao was lying on her mother's bed, happily watching the television. It was a drama about the great epic story of Zhetian Jiandi. In the drama, the handsome and elegant Jetian Jendi was stuck between his female comrades and the young mistress of the Jendi family. They all hoped that she could become Jetian Jendi's wife, even if Jetian Jendi was just a lowly sword wielder. It's so good. This drama is so realistic. Long Xiaoya subconsciously brought herself into the drama and imagined herself as the female lead in the drama. It's impossible for me to become the young mistress. At most, I'll become Jetian's comrade. But this is also quite good. Missy is all a green tea bitch. Only comrades in arms are the ones destined for me. Long Xiaoya thought happily, as if she had really become Jetian Jendi's comrade in arms. Sigh, it's a pity that I'm a pureblood. I won't be able to become a sword wielder in my lifetime. Long Xiaoya's excitement immediately died down when she thought of her aptitude. She gritted her teeth and warned herself very seriously, Long Xiaoya, even if we can't be comrades, it's the same to be friends with benefits. As long as you can become Gohan's friend and attract Gohan firmly, even if you can't become Jendi's queen, you can still live a luxurious life without worries. You can do it. Just as Long Xiaoya was secretly encouraging herself, the sound of the door opening suddenly sounded. Long Xiaoya quickly turned off the TV and then lay under the quilt. She pretended to be in pain and turned into a poor child with an injured leg. When I opened the door, I heard the sound of the TV. Why are you still pretending here? She didn't expect Wen Meiyun to expose Long Xiaoya's act as soon as she entered the door. Mom, my leg was hurting badly just now. I could only watch TV to divert my attention, Long Xiaoya explained hurriedly. All right, I've asked the doctor. The doctor said that your leg has already healed. You don't have to pretend anymore. When Meiyun completely exposed Long Xiaoya's trick, Long Xiaoya's face turned green and purple. Xiaoya, listen to me. Xiaoya, listen to me. Mom doesn't want to chase you away, but it's best if you don't stay here anymore. I'll send you to a hostel near the neighborhood. I know you don't like your Aunt Guogua's place. Mom has saved some money these few months, so I can still support the expenses of the hostel. Although the conditions there aren't as good as here, it's still a very good place. You can move there tomorrow. Mom, why did you suddenly chase Xiaoya away? Is Xiaoya an eyesore to you? Hearing her mother suddenly say such words, Long Xiaoya was stunned. She lived here and had food, drinks, a big screen TV, and an even bigger bath. She really didn't want to leave here. Even if she went to live in a hostel, it was a small place that was less than 10 square meters. Besides the TV and a bed, there was nothing else. How could she live there? It was easy to go from frugality to extravagance, but difficult to go from extravagance to frugality. It's not that I want to chase you away, but this is not a place where you should stay. When Meiyun said very firmly, this is the master's home. The master took pity on your body and agreed to let you live here. Now that your leg has recovered, it's time for you to leave. You don't need to say anything else. Have a good rest tonight. Tomorrow I'll send you to the hostel. Mom, that doctor isn't me. How would he know whether my leg hurts or not? He's just talking nonsense based on a bunch of data. Long Xiaoya hurriedly pulled Wen Meiyun's arm. Mom, I remember you said that I can stay here until the master returns. Why are you chasing me out now? Could it be that the master has already returned? What master? Hearing Long Xiaoya's words, Wen Meiyun's face stiffened. That's my master, not your master. I don't allow you to call him that. You have to call him Master Gohan. Do you understand? Wen Meiyun was very concerned about Long Xiaoya calling him master. She definitely didn't want her daughter to be like her, calling another man master. Sorry Mom, I spoke too fast. It's Master Gohan. Long Xiaoya hurriedly changed her tone. Mom, what exactly happened? Tell me, maybe I can help you. This is not something a child like you should be concerned about. Your main task now is to study. When you recover, go back to school to study and become a scientist in the future. Then, I won't have wasted my entire life raising you. When Maiden touched Long Xiaoya's head and said painfully, it could be seen that she actually didn't want to be an exclusive maid, but for her daughter, she didn't have the right to choose her own life. Mom, just tell me that you've always been taking care of me and helping me do so many things. Now, are you not willing to give me a chance to repay you, Mom? Long Xiaoya said affectionately. Mom, if you have any difficulties, the two of us can figure it out together. It's better than you bearing it alone. If you always hide things from your daughter, then what's the point of being a daughter? We're mother and daughter. Shouldn't a mother and daughter be connected and share the burden? Mom. When Maiden was a soft-hearted person, she couldn't stand her daughter's affectionate persuasion. After hesitating for a while, she finally said what was on her mind. Just now, Mom met Master Song Yifei from next door. She went on a mission with Master and is his good friend. She just told Mom that Master is now outside Yuzhong City and didn't come back with her. Although she assured Mother that Master had only gone to carry out an additional mission, it has been shown in dramas before. These are just lies that they told us because they were afraid that we would be worried. Master might have already been sacrificed. Speaking up to this point, when Meiden's eyes began to fill with tears. Long Xiaoya was also dumbfounded when she heard this. Long Xiaoya's hopes for her future were currently all hanging on Gu Han. If Gu Han died, how would she be able to climb up the social ladder and live a life of luxury? Mommy won't. Master is so powerful, and he even synchronized with the number 1 sword artifact, Lady Etienne. Master will be fine. Even if something happens, Song Yifei will die first. How could Master die first? Long Xiaoya tried to explain. Master is a very good person. Although he seems very cold to everyone on the surface, he's actually a kind person. How could he watch his friends die? If they really met with danger, the first to fall would definitely be Master. When Maiden ignored the fact that Long Xiaoya called him Master again. Xiaoya, listen to Mom. If Master is fine, then everything will be fine and we can still live in peace. But if something really happens to Master, then it's over. Master is an orphan and has no relatives. His house will immediately be taken back by the Sword Committee. Mom will also be chased back to the maid center and can't stay here anymore. So, you have to leave here tomorrow. Otherwise, when the people from the Sword Committee come to take back the property and inspect the property, once they find you here, and you sneaked into the core area, you will definitely be driven out of the core area. Who knows when the attack will come? Xiaoya, if you leave the core area, you will die. After talking for a long time, it turned out that when Maiden chased Long Xiaoya away because she was afraid that the Sword Committee would find out that Long Xiaoya was living in the core area. Although Long Xiaoya was studying in the core area, she said that she was not a student in the core area. This meant that Long Xiaoya lived in the normal area and only went to the core area to attend classes every day. So, Long Xiaoya living in the core area was definitely illegal. Once this was discovered by the Sword Committee, Long Xiaoya would definitely be chased out of the core area. She might even lose her right to attend classes. This was something that Wen Meiyun could not accept. So, Long Xiaoya had to leave Gohan's house and find a secluded place to stay. Okay, Mom, I'm leaving. I can't wait for tomorrow, I'm leaving today. After hearing Wen Meiyun's words, Long Xiaoya made a prompt decision and jumped out of bed. Her legs were fine and she started to pack her things. Compared to leaving Gohan's house, leaving the core area was even more terrifying. From this, it could be seen that Long Xiaoya was actually a very powerful woman. She was not an adult yet and there were so many benefits to living in Gohan's house. However, once she realized that there were risks that she could not control, she immediately gave up these benefits. This kind of decision was something that many adult men could not do. I have to think of a way to tie Mom and Gohan together. Even if Gohan dies, this house is still my mom's. I can't be chased out like this. Long Xiaoya thought to herself as she carried her luggage and walked with Wen Meiyun to the guest house. Mom, let me help you. I also want to have a younger brother and sister. According to the rules of the Sword Committee, if the maid and the sacrifice swordsman had an underage child, then the maid could become a member of the swordsman's family. Not only would she not have to move out, she could also enjoy the special allowance of the Sword Committee every month. She could raise the child until he was an adult. When Long Xiaoya said that she wanted to help her mother, it went without saying what she wanted to do. Chapter 466. It was probably Misaka Mikoto's worst night of sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, images of her notebook would appear in her mind. Misaka Mikoto was extremely embarrassed. She only managed to fall asleep when it was almost 5 o'clock in the morning. However, she was woken up by Gohan before it was even 7 o'clock. "Please wake up, Ms. Misaka. We're about to depart." When Gohan woke Misaka Mikoto up, he was fully dressed. Misaka Mikoto, on the other hand, had messy hair and dark circles around her eyes. She wrapped herself tightly with a blanket. "Idiot, idiot, pervert. You're not allowed to wake me up until the sun shines on my butt," Misaka Mikoto said in a daze. She did not seem to notice her condition and subconsciously treated the place as her own home. "Ms. Misaka, the sun has just risen. It's the time when the zombies are the least active. It's also the best time for us to rush to Rainflower Terrace to heal you. Please wake up. We still have to hurry," Gohan advised patiently. "What's the hurry? It doesn't matter where we are if there's no thunder. Wake me up when there's thunder," Misaka Mikoto mumbled to herself. However, Gohan was puzzled by her words. What did she mean by "it's useless if there's no thunder"? "Misaka Mikoto never told me that I have to wait for a thunderstorm to heal her." Gohan was anxious. He could not care less about etiquette. He immediately lifted the blanket that was covering Misaka Mikoto's body. It was as if he had been electrocuted. His body trembled, and he immediately covered himself with the blanket again. Gohan was shocked. He did not expect that Misaka Mikoto was not wearing anything under the blanket. She was sleeping naked under it. Tens of thousands of volts hit Gohan's body. Fortunately, Gohan had a strong physique. Otherwise, he would have been electrocuted to death by Misaka Mikoto. As the blanket was opened and closed, a gust of cold wind blew in. Misaka Mikoto's body turned cold. She shivered and woke up from her sleepiness. "What are you doing? Even if you are my savior, I will not let you off." Misaka Mikoto was on the verge of tears. "What's going on? Even that idiot hasn't seen my body, but Gohan has seen it." It was Gohan's second time seeing Misaka Mikoto's nude body. The first time was when he rescued Misaka Mikoto. To cover it up, Gohan had arranged for the 3 Egyptian gods to put on a show with him. Who would have thought that he had miscalculated? He had seen Misaka Mikoto's naked body in front of her. "Why aren't you wearing that swimsuit?" Gohan said dryly. "I thought you were wearing a swimsuit. Do you sleep in a swimsuit? Or the conjoined kind?" Misaka Mikoto hugged her blanket and glared at Gohan. "Who can sleep in a swimsuit? Sorry, it's all my fault." Gohan had no choice but to admit defeat. He still needed Misaka Mikoto and her friends' help to save Yuzhong City. Misaka Mikoto's friends who had been threatened by Loki were either U-level Yuan Ko or Meteor-level Yuan Ko. Their combined strength was on par with Yuzhong City's higher-up. Only if Misaka Mikoto's friends joined Yuzhong City's camp would they be able to break through Miling Mountain's defense and obtain the Creator's divinity or banish it back into the void. Therefore, Gohan could not afford to fall out with Misaka Mikoto. "I understand. Since you saved my life, I will pretend that this never happened." Misaka Mikoto looked at Gohan with a serious expression. "Remember, you must not tell anyone about this. Otherwise, even if you saved my life, I will still kill you. Believe me, my hands are stained with blood." "Gohan understands." Gohan let out a sigh of relief. The matter was finally over. "Very well. Then don't disturb me anymore. Let me sleep for a while more. Don't disturb me anymore. Misaka Mikoto waved her hand and gestured for Gohan to leave. Gohan instinctively wanted to follow Misaka Mikoto's instruction. However, he thought about it and realized that it was not right. Did he forget something? What did Misaka Mikoto mean by lightning? Ms. Misaka, may I know what you meant when you said that it's useless even if there's lightning? Gohan asked casually. Oh, it's nothing. I was just sleep-talking, Misaka Mikoto said nonchalantly. When it was almost noon, Misaka Mikoto, who had caught up on her sleep, finally put on her clothes and got out of bed. However, she did not wear her insulated swimsuit. Instead, she wore the teddy bear pajamas that Gohan gave her. The pajamas were originally prepared for Etion. It looked baggy on Misaka Mikoto. I'll return this to you. Misaka Mikoto folded the swimsuit and returned it to Gohan. Why aren't you wearing it anymore? Are you able to control the electricity on your body? Gohan asked curiously. Same old. Don't touch me now. You deserve to die from the electricity. Misaka Mikoto glared at Gohan. She seemed to be still angry at him for exposing her naked body earlier. Previously, I wore this swimsuit because I was afraid that I would accidentally touch you when I was passing by. But I think it's better for us to keep a certain distance. Misaka Mikoto rolled her eyes. According to what you said, we're going to pass through the Rainflower Terrace area that's full of Yuan-ko. The electricity on my body should be of some help to you. At the very least, it should be able to roast the zombies that want to touch me into charcoal. It might even be able to help you. You don't have to wear this swimsuit. Sure, you're right. Gohan nodded. Misaka Mikoto was right. The electricity on her body was actually a good weapon. It was a pity that it was restricted by the insulated swimsuit. Don't the zombies feel crowded? Gohan and Misaka Mikoto were hiding in a bush that was once marked as Fengtai South Road on the map. Now, not even a single piece of concrete could be seen. Gohan and Misaka Mikoto were hiding in the bushes. Opposite them was Uwatai District. At the highest point of the foothills in the middle of Uwatai District was their final destination, Uwatai Martyrs Memorial Square. Misaka Mikoto told Gohan that he had to be under the monument in order to have a chance to heal himself. Fengtai South Road, which used to separate Jianya District and Rainflower Terrace, was still divided into two areas. One was an area with very few zombies, and the other was an area with zombies that were as dense as ants. Gohan didn't think that the zombies in the Rainflower Terrace district would be so densely packed. These zombies were like corn kernels squeezed together. Within a square meter area, there were actually 7 or 8 zombies squeezed together. With such a densely packed degree, even the buses that were packed with people every day couldn't compare to it. Ms. Misaka, you're very knowledgeable and have lived for a long time. May I ask if you've ever seen a situation like this? Why are Yuan-ko squeezed together like this? Even though Gohan had browsed through countless materials, he had never imagined that he would see such a scene. Even the beast-like Yuan-ko would not be squeezed together like this. It was common knowledge among all creatures. No, I've never seen a situation like this. It's too strange. Misaka Mikoto shook her head. She was also confused about the situation. These Yuan-ko seem to be restrained by some kind of force. Or is there an invisible transparent wall outside the Rainflower Terrace area that's keeping the zombies inside the wall? Misaka Mikoto made a reasonable guess. No, look at the hands of the outermost Yuan-ko. Although their bodies are confined to a certain area, their hands are not. If there's really a wall restraining them, do you think their hands can reach out? Gohan observed one last time. Don't you think that they're being controlled by something? Controlled? You're saying that these zombies are being controlled by something similar to the hummingbird? Misaka Mikoto exclaimed. That's right. Look at these zombies. If they're being forced to stay in this circle, they should be very agitated and will do all kinds of things to escape. However, in reality, they are extremely calm and do not show any signs of trying to break free. This means that it is very likely that they gathered here of their own volition. They were ordered by some high-level being, or their thoughts were simply controlled. This kind of ability is not uncommon among you Yuanho. I don't know, but I think that's the case. Misaka Mikoto nodded. After being enlightened by Gohan, the more she looked at it, the more she felt that it made sense. Forget it. No matter what these zombies are doing, we have to enter the Rainflower Terrace. There's only one way to get in. That's to kill our way out. Gohan unsheathed the heavenly sword and released it. He then held the Doyu sword in his hand and entered his strongest combat state. Heavenly sword, you'll be responsible for opening the path. I'll be responsible for bringing up the rear. Ms. Misaka, you'll stay in the middle. Even if all the Yuan-ko are here, I'll kill my way out for you. Chapter 467. In the past, when Gohan was idle, he would simulate his own battle scenes in his mind countless times, simulating the scene of him falling into a bitter battle. For example, fighting against Yuan-ko who was a level higher than him, or fighting in a place full of traps, or fighting against a group of evenly matched opponents. No matter what the situation was, the opponent in Gohan's illusion was at least an equal opponent to Yuan-ko. Gohan had never thought that there would be a day when he would be forced into such a situation by a group of mice-level Yuan-ko who were 1 level lower than him, 3 levels lower than him. Too many. The number was really too many. Gohan had officially launched his attack on the Rainflower Terrace district for more than half an hour. In this half an hour, Gohan might not even be able to advance 300 meters. Every time Gohan killed a zombie, there would be 2 zombies taking over the position of the previous zombie. Only by continuously killing could he barely have enough space to stand. Fortunately, these zombie corpses of Yuan-ko would be absorbed by the dimensional vortex after they died. Otherwise, Gohan reckoned that the number of corpses under his feet could circle the Earth 5 times. However, this large-scale dimensional vortex had already existed by Gohan's side for about half an hour. Because there was an endless stream of Yuan-ko zombies dying, the dimensional vortex also continuously absorbed these Yuan-ko corpses. There was not even a gap of a few seconds in between, so this dimensional vortex had not disappeared. This was a very rare situation. The sword-bearers called this situation an iron vortex, meaning that this dimensional vortex was like an iron vortex and would not disappear. If the vortex lasted for more than 5 hours, then it could be called a silver vortex. If it lasted for more than a day, then it would be called a gold vortex. This type of dimensional vortex usually only appeared during large-scale battles between humans and Yuan-ko. It rarely appeared at other times. Where could they find so many Yuan-ko that belonged to the same world as the sword-bearers in a few seconds? After all, it was very rare for someone like Gohan to encounter so many mice-level Yuan-ko at once and still rush to his death. Gohan estimated that in just half an hour, he and Etion had killed no less than 3,000 zombies. However, the number of 3,000 was just a drop in the bucket for the Yuan-ko that covered the entire Rainflower Terrace district. Gohan, we can't continue fighting like this. Otherwise, we won't be able to reach the Rainflower Terrace Martyrs Monument before nightfall. Misaka Mikoto also joined the battle. Her fighting style was very simple. All she had to do was use her hands to slap the zombies in front of her. Needless to say, the effect of the battle was very good. This was because the zombies' bodies were covered in all kinds of decomposing corpse fluid. Corpse fluid was the best conductor. Misaka Mikoto's strong electric current only needed to touch a zombie for a few seconds before it would be charred black. Then, it would be absorbed by the dimensional vortex. The electric current was surprisingly effective against zombies. I know, but my sword mistresses are single-target combat. They don't have the ability to attack in groups. Regarding this, Gohan felt a little helpless. Whether it was Qing Pin, Douyu, or Tian, they were all one-on-one skills that were suitable for killing monsters that were a higher level than them. When faced with these Yuan Ko that relied on numbers to win, they were helpless. Even if they used their skills, they would still be killed with one slash. It was better for them to save their sword mistresses. Guhan's 9 Swords of Mysterious Heaven had some area of effect skills, such as Sword of the Abyss and Sword Formation Break. These were AoE skills that were quite useful in this situation. One slash would be able to kill a large area. The problem was that these skills required a lot of sword mistresses. For example, Sword Formation Break required a total of 1,000 quarks of sword mistresses. The sword mistresses in Guhan's body could only be used 5 times at most. The attack range of Sword Formation Break was only a few hundred meters. On the other hand, the Rainflower Terrace's Monument of the Heroes was a full 5 kilometers away. Moreover, this was in a straight line. To reach the Rainflower Terrace's monument, one would have to climb a mountain. Even if Guhan used up all his sword mistresses, it would not be enough to reach the Rainflower Terrace. Guhan had a feeling that there was a pair of eyes watching him in the dark. Once he used up all his sword mistresses, the eyes would rush out without hesitation and cooperate with the zombies to deal a fatal blow to him. Therefore, Guhan had to keep the sword mistresses in his body just in case. I've had enough of this. If it was me, I could have sent all the corpses on the Rainflower Terrace on their way with a single super electromagnetic break. Misaka Mikoto said as she panted after charring a zombie's head. It was obvious that she was very tired. Misaka Mikoto's body had not fully recovered. If she continued like this, she would probably get new injuries before her old ones were healed. We have to think of a way to escape from these Yuan Ko's encirclement. Otherwise, we'll be dragged to our deaths here. Guhan swung his sword and chopped off 3 connected zombies' heads at the same time. Black liquid splashed all over his body. However, the black liquid was quickly absorbed by the dimensional vortex in the sky. Guhan observed his surroundings as he killed the endless zombies. Then, he saw a building that had not completely collapsed. It was a building that was about 50 stories high. Seeing the building, Guhan had an idea. Tian, don't go directly to the Rainflower Terrace mountain. Change direction and go to that building, Guhan said to Tian, who was leading the way. Okay, I got it. Just like Guhan, Tian's hands were weak from killing Yuan Ko. Although she did not know why Guhan wanted to change his target to the building, based on her understanding of Guhan, Tian knew that as long as she trusted Guhan, he would not be wrong. This small team, surrounded by endless zombies, struggled to move forward bit by bit. Although the building's ruins were less than 30 meters away from Guhan, it still took Guhan almost 5 minutes to slowly move there. Go in. Under Guhan's command, the 3 of them rushed into the ruins of the building. Just like the outside of the building, the inside of the building was also filled with densely packed zombies. Guhan looked at the direction of the stairs, and tragically discovered that even the stairs were filled with zombies. Forget it, let's retreat. Guhan's face turned cold. He immediately took back his words and made Tian, who had gone in with great difficulty, retreat. Damn, what are you doing? Are you playing with this heroine? Tian rolled her eyes. Clearly, she was very dissatisfied with Guhan's decision to go back on his words. We can't use the stairs. I have to find another way to get to the roof. Guhan killed a few zombies with his sword. Then, he used his hand to touch the building's wall. Fortunately, the wall felt quite solid. Tian, can you climb to the roof from here? Guhan suddenly asked. Climb up. Tian looked up at the height of the building. Then, she cut off the head of a ferocious-looking Yuan Ko who was trying to bite her arm. This heroine was omnipotent in the past. I can climb up this small wall. Okay, Ms. Misaka. What about you? Can you climb up? Guhan threw the question to Misaka Mikoto. Misaka Mikoto looked at the 50-story tall wall. She was obviously hesitant. After thinking for a while, she felt that she could not be a burden at such a crucial time. Then, she gritted her teeth and promised, "Yes, I can climb up." "Okay, Etion. Same rules. You go up first and lead the way for us. If there are Yuan Ko on the roof, kill them all." "Got it," Etion said impatiently. Then, he stomped on the ground and leaped 4 meters into the air, directly standing on the window of the second floor. She did not take more than 3 seconds to complete the entire action. Just like what Etion said herself, her climbing action couldn't be described as climbing. She just walked up. The outer wall of the building, which had windows to stand on every few meters, was nothing more than a large staircase for Etion. Throughout the entire process, she did not even need to use her hands. She jumped and jumped like a frog and reached the roof of the ruined building. It took her less than a minute. "Gohan, there are quite a number of Yuan Ko on the roof. However, they are not as dense as the ones below. I can clear them out quickly," Etion, who was on the roof, said to Gohan through the sword mark. "Got it. Thank you for your hard work." Gohan cut off the sword mark communication with Etion. Then, he urged Misaka Mikoto, "Ms. Misaka, it's your turn. Hurry up and climb up. I'll cover you from behind." After saying that, Gohan consumed 100 quarks of sword essence and unleashed a Sword of the Abyss sword aura. The Yuan Ko were cleanly sliced in half by the sword aura as if they were carrot. An empty space of about 10 square meters was cleared out. This Gohan knows how to use sword aura. Misaka Mikoto was shocked. Among humans, the only person who could wield a sword with sword aura was the sword master. However, Misaka Mikoto did not have time to think about it. Under Gohan's urging, she grabbed onto a protruding object on the wall and started climbing. Misaka Mikoto did not seem to be an expert at climbing walls. Her movements were nervous and jerky. She would look down from time to time and tremble. That was normal. Even though Misaka Mikoto had lived for more than 1,000 years, she was still a complete novice at climbing walls. Fear of heights was something that everyone was born with. Therefore, it was not embarrassing for Misaka Mikoto to not be able to climb up to the 3rd floor even after 5 minutes. She was just a beginner. Unfortunately, Gohan did not have the time to waste on waiting for Misaka Mikoto to climb up the wall. Gohan, who had started climbing behind Misaka Mikoto, took less than half a minute to catch up to her. Seeing that she was dawdling on the wall, Gohan was anxious. "Let me give you a hand." Feeling anxious, Gohan could not help but want to help Misaka Mikoto. Therefore, Gohan, who was below Misaka Mikoto, stretched out his right hand and supported Misaka Mikoto's, but Gohan's idea was beautiful. He wanted to support Misaka Mikoto up. "Ah!" Misaka Mikoto, who was suddenly attacked in the buttocks, screamed in embarrassment. She was like a female gorilla as she crawled all the way from the 3rd floor to the 5th floor with her hands and feet moving in a blink of an eye. Her speed was comparable to the heavenly sword. Chapter 468. Under the threat of Gohan's demonic hands, Misaka Mikoto unleashed all of her strength. The process of climbing the building's ruins was very smooth. Of course, there were some accidents along the way. For example, she accidentally slipped and fell, and Gohan caught her, but it happened more than once. It happened 7 or 8 times. Gohan had to keep a close eye on Misaka Mikoto's, but as he climbed up, he had to be ready to catch Misaka Mikoto the moment she slipped. It was quite tiring. Fortunately, everything was over without mishap. Gohan successfully climbed to the top of the building with Misaka Mikoto. Looking down from the top, the zombies were like ants surrounding the building. Some zombies tried to climb up the building like Gohan. However, their coordination was too bad, and they fell before they could climb too high. Most of them tried their best to squeeze into the building and use the building's stairs to reach the top. It's a pity that there were so many sword essences. If I could absorb all of them, I should be able to get up to 1,000 quarks. Gohan recalled the iron vortex that disappeared earlier and felt that it was a pity. That was the iron vortex that absorbed more than 3,000 yuan ko. Although these yuan ko were the weakest mouse-level yuan ko, and there would be a lot of losses when so many of them were gathered together, Gohan could still get more than 1,000 quarks of sword essences. The total sword essences in his body could also exceed 6,000 quark. Unfortunately, the dimensional vortex was too far away from Gohan. It was impossible for Gohan to move from the wall to the dimensional vortex while being surrounded by yuan ko. Gohan could only watch as the dimensional vortex disappeared. Now that he thought about it, Gohan felt that it was a pity. Gohan, what took you so long? My arm is about to break. On the other side, Etion was complaining to Gohan through the sword mark. The building only had a 3-meter-wide door as the entrance to the top floor. Etion was blocking the entrance and eliminating the yuan ko that were trying to break in. She was fast, but Misaka Mikoto was very slow. Etion had been blocking the entrance for more than 10 minutes. These yuan ko were all mouse-level yuan ko. They were trash. Etion did not use much energy and stamina to deal with them. However, her wrist was sore from swinging her sword continuously. That was why she kept complaining to Gohan. Etion, hold on for a little longer. I'll be ready soon. Gohan comforted Etion and immediately took out a hover bike from his dimensional brocade pouch. It was the hover bike that Liu Ling had lent to Gohan. Misaka Mikoto was puzzled when she saw Gohan taking out a hover bike. Mr. Gohan, I'm afraid this isn't the time to ride a hover bike. No, this is the time for it to come in handy. Gohan started the hover bike and let it hover on the rooftop. He then scanned the rooftop and noticed a few pieces of glass on the rooftop. They were probably leftover materials from the renovation and were abandoned by the owner of the building. As mentioned before, glass was something that could withstand the ravages of time. 1,000 years would not cause much damage to glass. Gohan's eyes lit up when he saw the glass. He immediately moved the glass to the side of the hover bike. After comparing the pieces of glass with the hover bike, Lin Huang used the Doyu sword to cut the pieces of glass. What are you doing? Misaka Mikoto did not understand what Gohan was trying to do. Why would he want to cut the glass? Fly. Gohan's answer was simple and to the point, but it made Misaka Mikoto even more confused. What's fly? What does it have to do with glass? However, Gohan's next action allowed Misaka Mikoto to vaguely understand what Gohan was trying to do. Gohan cut the glass into a few rectangles. He then cut the two corners on one end into different arcs. He then thinned one side of the glass and used a uniform curve to transition to the other side that maintained its original thickness, forming a bevel. After that, Gohan placed the cut glass horizontally on the side of the hover bike. He then took out a bottle of glue-like substance and applied it on the part where the glass was connected to the hover bike. It looked as if the hover bike had wings. Wait a minute, the hover bike has wings. Misaka Mikoto finally understood what was going on. She stared at Gohan with her mouth agape. You be ****, don't tell me you're trying to turn this hover bike into an airplane. Is that weird? Gohan raised his head and smiled. Don't worry, I promise I can fly. Misaka Mikoto was speechless. This was the first time she admired someone in her life. She admired how his imagination could be so fresh and refined. Actually, it was nothing. If Misaka Mikoto knew that someone had the experience of using a nuclear bomb as a plane, she would be in awe of him. Are you sure you can glue these glass plates together? Misaka Mikoto could not help but complain when she saw that Gohan was using something similar to 502 to glue the glass panels together. Of course, this is the latest success of mankind's research, 502. It can deeply bond objects at the molecular level. I only need 5 minutes. I guarantee that this glass plate and this hover bike will be as strong as a piece of steel. Gohan said confidently. No, I don't think you have 5 minutes left. Misaka Mikoto, who was standing at the edge of the rooftop, stared at the large group of yuan ko below. I think we're going to fall from here soon. What's going on? Gohan put down what he was doing and walked to the rooftop to look down. Good Lord. Initially, there was an endless sea of zombies that looked exactly the same. Suddenly, there were a few very eye-catching big guys among them. These big guys were real big guys. Each of them was at least 10 meters tall, and their bodies were as wide as a bus. What was more terrifying was that they were holding an excavator in their hands. That's right, these zombies were holding excavators in their hands. If Gohan's eyesight was good enough, he could clearly see the words Lanxiang Vocational School written on the excavator. Yes, we can call these zombies excavator zombies or Lanxiang excavator zombies. I was wondering why all the zombies we met along the way were normal Yuan Ko. I thought there weren't any high-level Yuan Ko among them. So they're hiding. Gohan estimated that these excavator zombies were at least soul-level Yuan Ko. They could easily smash an ancient sword wielder to death with the excavator in their hand. Gohan, you better be careful. If I'm not mistaken, these excavator zombies are coming for the building we're standing on. Misaka Mikoto had good eyesight. She could tell the purpose of these excavator zombies at a glance. They want to dig out the load-bearing walls of this building. They want to destroy this building and let us fall to our deaths. Gohan was silent. He agreed with what Misaka Mikoto said. That was what the zombies were planning. If the building collapsed, even if he and Misaka Mikoto survived, they would be severely injured. Etion, how's the situation on your side? Gohan asked Etion, who was defending the door on the top floor after thinking for a while. It's not good. These Yuan Ko are still attacking like crazy. I can't rest for even a second. Etion was panting as he spoke. This meant that not only was Etion's hand sore, but his stamina was also greatly depleted. It looks like the group of Yuanying inside the building has been abandoned by their master. Their master is going all out to kill us. He's willing to sacrifice an entire building full of zombies just to kill us. Gohan said solemnly. You're wrong. This building is built before the apocalypse. There are no dimensional crystals in it. The zombies in this building can't be crushed to death. Misaka Mikoto added. Indeed, normal items would not be able to hurt Yuan Ko. Even if the entire building was on top of a zombie, that zombie would not die. Time. We need time. Gohan muttered. Both of its wings have been glued on. We just need to hold on for another 4 minutes, and we'll be able to leave this place. Gohan calculated the time in his heart. 4 minutes sounded like a short time. It was not even enough time to make instant noodles. However, to Gohan it was a critical time. The excavator zombies were less than a minute away from the building. Once they started digging at the corner of the building, the entire building would be turned into a pile of rubble in less than 30 seconds. Etion, if you jump down from here, will you get hurt? Gohan suddenly asked Etion. We sword ladies are not gods. Of course we'll die if we jump down. Etion said angrily. However, if I jump down along the wall, it won't be a problem. Just like how I came up earlier. Alright. Etion, go down now and deal with those excavator Yuan Ko. Kill as many as you can. It's been 5 minutes. We can't let them get close to our building. Gohan immediately ordered. That's enough. Leave all the dangerous missions to me. I'm so unlucky to have to deal with a swordsman like you. Although she kept complaining, Etion's actions made her stand clear. Etion grumbled as she left the entrance of the top floor. She then jumped down from the top floor and began to intercept the excavator Yuan Ko. Alright, it's my turn. Without Etion's obstruction, the Yuan Ko immediately swarmed toward the top floor. Gohan did not say a word as he rushed to the entrance and took over Etion's job. However, even though Gohan took over in time, there were still some scattered zombies on the top floor that were heading toward Misaka Mikoto. Ms. Misaka, I'll leave these Yuan Ko to you. You only have one mission, and that is to protect our hovercraft. Don't let Yuan Ko destroy it. Please. Chapter 469. Along the way, the heavenly sword kept jumping down along the wall. With the support of the gravitational force, the heavenly sword became unstoppable like a god. Go to hell. In the end, when it was only 3 floors away from the ground, Heavenly Sword's feet stomped on the wall with force. The wall actually caved in like an iron wok. Borrowing this force, Heavenly Sword, which was originally moving down the wall in a straight line, instantly turned into a charging state perpendicular to the wall. The target of Heavenly Sword's blade was a huge excavator Yuan Shun. Shandong, China, look for Lanxiang. The excavator Yuan Ko had also noticed the Heavenly Sword's movement. He let out a loud roar, then waved the excavator in his hand and rushed towards the Heavenly Sword. It looked like he was hitting a feather. The excavator was a racket, and the Heavenly Sword was the badminton. Idiot! The Heavenly Sword, which was flying in the air, sneered. In an instant, a wine gourd appeared in its hand, and it directly poured a mouthful of Dukong wine into its mouth. The Heavenly Sword faintly glowed with a red light. In the next moment, the racket and the badminton collided. The scene of the excavator Yuan Ko being knocked away didn't happen. The moment the Heavenly Sword collided with the excavator, the Heavenly Sword directly pierced through the excavator's steel shell. Then, like a sharp sword, it pierced through the other side of the excavator. As the saying goes, an arrow at the end of its flight can't pierce through silk. It seemed like the Heavenly Sword had pierced through an excavator, so it should be an arrow at the end of its flight, right? However, this arrow at the end of its flight could not only pierce through silk, it could also pierce through the excavator zombie. The Heavenly Sword's blade was very accurate. After piercing through the excavator, the Heavenly Sword in its hand directly pierced the excavator zombie's neck. The excavator Yuan Ko's eyeballs were like balloons that were about to burst, instantly bursting out of their sockets. Then, its entire head was separated from its body. The body that was like a bus instantly fell to the ground, and a dimensional vortex began to appear in the sky. After killing the unlucky Yuan Ko, the Heavenly Sword immediately reported to Gohan, "Gohan, I've killed one. On your left, there's another excavator, Yuan Ko. He's getting close to the building. Kill him." Gohan's new order came from the sword mark. Etion looked at the densely packed ordinary zombies that were trying to stop him. He frowned and said angrily, "It's not like you're down there. That excavator Yuan Ko is more than 100 meters away from me. I'm now surrounded by these Yuan Ko, how can I rush over?" "Then enter hero mode," Gohan said coldly. "Use your hero mode, and you'll be able to get there quickly." Heroic mode? Etion was stunned for a moment, and then he revealed a trace of a smile. "You're right. I almost forgot that I'm no longer the original Etion." After saying that, Etion cut off the communication with Gohan. The wine gourd appeared in Etion's hand again. However, this time, Etion did not directly pour the wine into his stomach like before. Instead, he grabbed the gourd and forcefully broke it apart. The upper half of the wine gourd actually separated from the lower half, turning into 2 spherical bowls, one big and one small. A first-rate green plum wine, a first-rate hero. Green plum wine, I've almost forgotten how delicious it is. Etion laughed out loud, and directly poured the wine in the separated gourd into his mouth. Just like that, 1 liter of green plum wine was poured into Etion's mouth. Ha 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 ha! Good wine! Good wine! Etion was like a man from Yanzhou who was singing a sad song, and drank the wine in a heroic manner. Then, something miraculous happened. A vermilion red armor suddenly appeared on Etion's body. This armor was incomparably exquisite, and there were at least 7 huge dragons coiling around the armor in various ways. Their bodies entangled with each other, and the 7 dragon heads bit onto Etion's shoulders, wrists, ankles, and even his entire head. A bright red cloak also extended from his back, and in an instant, Etion's appearance changed from that of a heroine to that of a mighty general on the battlefield. Nay, before the armor and cloak could even be seen, a snow-white steed with 4 golden hooves and a noble and extraordinary temperament emerged from the ground, and let out a resounding neigh. "Long time no see, Claw Huang Feidian. This time we're going to fight again." Etion caressed Claw Huang Feidian's neck, and Claw Huang Feidian licked Etion's neck. Etion laughed out loud, and with a confident posture, he leaped onto the horse's back. His posture was majestic, just like Lu Bu of the Three Kingdoms, and Yuan Qing of the Sui and Tang dynasties. This was Etion's heroic form, and also the form that Etion would take after using his ultimate skill. After Gohan had deepened Etion's sword scar to grade 1, Etion's wine gourd was able to brew green plum wine. As long as he drank a mouthful of the wine, Etion would instantly transform into this godly general form, and his battle prowess would increase by more than a few times. This was also the reason why Etion was indisputably the #1 sword mistress of the sword tier. In his heroic form, Etion was simply too strong. Then just how strong was Etion? From Claw Huang Feidian's battle horse, it could be seen vividly and vividly. Claw Huang Feidian let out another neigh, and spread out his 4 hooves, and quickly ran. Strange, didn't they say that this place was already filled with zombies? How could this Claw Huang Feidian run so fast? Everyone's textbooks should have a text about horses stepping on swallows. When a horse's speed was fast enough, even swallows in the sky could be stepped on, let alone these zombies' heads. That's right, Claw Huang Feidian directly stepped on these zombies' heads to run. As long as there was a little bit of leverage, Claw Huang Feidian would be able to maintain his hovering state, and run over these zombies' heads. The denser the zombies were, the easier it was for Claw Huang Feidian to run, as if he was running on a highway. As Etion's next target, this excavator zombie was less than 10 meters away from the building. As long as it took 2 steps forward and raised the excavator in its hands, it would be able to smash the entire building into ashes. Unfortunately, it would no longer have this chance. Etion appeared beside this excavator zombie like a god. Claw Huang Feidian let out a roar, and then forcefully stepped down. 4 normal zombies' heads that were used as leverage were immediately crushed into smashed watermelons. Using this force, Claw Huang Feidian jumped more than 20 meters high, and appeared above the excavator Yuan Ko. Carrying Etion on her back, she directly jumped down from Claw Huang Feidian's body, and steadily landed on top of the excavator Yuan Ko's head. Then, the heavenly sword in her hands stabbed downwards, and with a twist, the excavator Yuan Ko's head instantly exploded like a bomb. In her heroic state, Etion had the super-strong ability to ignore the enemy's defense and 1000% attack power. With the addition of the yin-yang sword technique, the Doyu sword's attack power, Etion only needed 1 slash to instantly kill this soul-level Yuan Ko, who was at the same level as her. Lu. After Etion killed Yuan Ko, Claw Huang Feidian came to Etion's side. Etion lightly leaped onto the horse's back, and then rushed towards the next target. 6 seconds left. The heroic state lasted for 10 seconds. Although a lot of words were used to describe the process of Etion killing the second excavator Yuan Ko, in reality, it only took 4 seconds. There were still 2 excavator Yuan Ko left, and within these 6 seconds, Etion had to at least kill the one closest to the building. Gohan, where is the excavator Yuan Ko? I can't see him. I only have 6 seconds left. Hurry up and tell me, where is Yuan Ko? Etion anxiously said to Gohan. Ms. Misaka, where is the excavator closest to us, Yuan Ko? Gohan wanted to stop the zombies that came in from the top floor, and since he could not move, he could only ask Misaka Mikoto to check. Got it. Misaka Mikoto knocked out the Yuan Ko next to her with a slap, and then rushed to the top floor. She took a look and immediately shouted, He's on the west side, directly opposite Etion on the west side. Gohan immediately notified Etion of the excavator Yuan Ko's location. However, 3 seconds had passed out of the 6 seconds, and there were only 3 seconds left. Go! Etion's mind moved, and Claw Huang Feidian immediately understood and ran toward the other side of the building. Unfortunately, as he had to go around the entire building, the distance was too long. Even though Claw Huang Feidian ran like lightning, he still could not reach the excavator Yuan Ko. When he was about 100 meters away from the excavator, Claw Huang Feidian let out a cry, and then disappeared together with Etion's armor. Damn it! Without Claw Huang Feidian running on the zombies' heads, Etion immediately fell into the group of zombies, and was once again surrounded by the zombies. All of you die! Etion was like a high-speed spinning top, madly killing the zombies in the group of zombies. Step by step, it killed the excavator zombie. However, the rest of the zombies rushed forward regardless of their own safety, using their bodies to slow down Etion's movement speed. This was a competition of speed. If Etion could reach the excavator zombie first, then it would be Etion's victory. Unfortunately, Etion lost this competition. The excavator zombie was the first to reach the ruins of the building, and then directly smashed an excavator into the wall of the building. Boom! A loud noise came from the building, and then the entire building began to shake. Due to the fact that it had been around for 1,000 years, the entire building was in a loose state. When the excavator zombie smashed into it, the cracks spread like a wave, quickly covering the entire outer wall of the building. Although the building did not collapse immediately, it was already on the verge of collapse. If the excavator zombie were to hit it again, the building would immediately be destroyed. Chapter 470. Go to Hell! The enraged Etion managed to reach the excavator Yuan Ko in the nick of time. In a fit of rage, she chopped off the excavator Yuan Ko's head. Gohan, there's still one excavator zombie left. It's less than a minute away from the building. Misaka Mikoto, who was observing from the rooftop, reported. Although there was only one excavator zombie left, that was all the Etion could do. There was still one excavator Yuan Ko left, and it was about 400 meters away from Etion. Even if Etion doubled her speed, she would not be able to stop the excavator Yuan Ko from getting close to the building. There's still 3 minutes left before the wings can completely solidify. Even if I wait for another minute, I'm still 2 minutes away. Gohan silently calculated the time in his mind. However, no matter how he calculated, he could not buy himself 2 minutes. Forget it, 3 minutes is more than enough. If I just hold on for a little longer, the parts that are glued together might be able to hold on. Gohan gritted his teeth and immediately ordered, Ms. Misaka, continue to keep an eye on the excavator zombie. Once it's close to the building, report to me immediately. Etion, clear all the Yuan Ko around you. Then quickly return to your sword. Thank you for your hard work. Gohan then ordered Etion through the sword mark. She could finally leave without being surrounded by the group of Yuan Ko. Etion let out a long sigh of relief. She took a sip of Dukong wine and then drew a perfect circle with the heavenly sword in her hand, clearing all the Yuan Ko around her. This created a short gap where Yuan Ko could not get close to her. Using this gap, Etion turned into a ray of light and flew to the rooftop. She returned to Gohan's control using the sword return method. It's getting closer. The zombie is less than 10 meters away from the building. It's going to attack the building soon. Misaka Mikoto, who was in charge of observing the situation, quickly reported to Gohan. All right, Ms. Misaka. Get into the back seat of the hoverbike. Quick. As soon as Gohan gave the order, Misaka Mikoto ran back to the hoverbike. Just as she was about to get on the hoverbike, someone picked her up and placed her on the back seat. Mr. Gohan. Misaka Mikoto was shocked. She was much closer to the hoverbike than Gohan, but Gohan had returned to the hoverbike at almost the same time as her. This proved that Gohan's movement speed was much faster than hers. Not good. The zombies are rushing towards us, Misaka Mikoto exclaimed. Without Gohan's obstruction at the top floor's entrance, the vitality silks gushed out of the building like a tidal wave from a broken dam. 9 blades of black heaven, sword rend. At that critical moment, Gohan could no longer hide his swordsmanship. He used one of the rare AoE swordsmanships from the 9 blades of black heaven. An explosive sword aura swept across the entire top floor like a shockwave. The ordinary zombies were like sand sculptures in front of the sword rend. They quickly melted and disintegrated into a pile of debris. The entire top floor was instantly cleared. Not a single Yuan-ko could be seen. Moreover, the door to the top floor was destroyed by the sword rend. Within a short period of time, the Yuan-ko would not be able to enter the top floor through the door. Ms. Misaka, hold on to me tightly. We're going to fly, Gohan said through gritted teeth. I'll hold on to you? Misaka Mikoto was stunned. She then exclaimed, but the electric current on my body will shock you. You won't be able to withstand it. It's fine. I knew this would happen. Gohan took off his outer clothes and revealed the black swimsuit underneath. Oh my god, Gohan had put on Misaka Mikoto's swimsuit. Only the wrists were cut open so that Gohan's hands could be seen. That way, as long as Gohan was wearing a swimsuit on the outside, no one would be able to tell that Gohan was wearing the swimsuit underneath. You're wearing my swimsuit. Misaka Mikoto blushed. She remembered that the two of them came out not long after she returned the swimsuit to Gohan. Gohan did not even have time to wash his clothes. In other words, Gohan had worn her original swimsuit. Misaka Mikoto recalled the water stains on his crotch area when she was reading her book. She felt terrible. In the past, Misaka Mikoto would have electrocuted this guy to death without a second thought. However, Misaka Mikoto was too ashamed to do such a thing. If she had not removed her swimsuit to avoid trouble, this would not have happened. All in all, it was Misaka Mikoto's fault. It was not Gohan's fault. Full speed ahead. Gohan did not know that Misaka Mikoto had so many thoughts running through her mind. He was not interested in it either. Gohan stepped on the hoverbike's electromagnetic valve to the very bottom and accelerated the hoverbike to its maximum speed. The maximum distance from the rooftop of the building was about 150 meters. Even if the hoverbike was a futuristic technology, it could only accelerate to 150 kilometers per hour at most. However, that speed was enough for the hoverbike to fly. When the excavator zombie downstairs slammed the excavator onto the load-bearing wall, the entire building could no longer withstand the force. It was instantly reduced to rubble, just like in a television drama. At this moment, a hoverbike with 2 wings jumped out from the edge of the building. According to the principles of aerodynamics, generally speaking, as long as there was a certain initial speed and the 2 wings were designed in accordance with the rules of aerodynamics, the hoverbike would be able to fly. Even if it could not fly actively like an airplane, it could still glide like a glider by relying on the high ground. At that time, the hoverbike that Gohan had modified was like a glider. Although it was very awkward to control and its trajectory in the air was twisted like a headless fly, it was undeniable that the hoverbike was gliding in the air. Moreover, the hoverbike had a levitation function that allowed it to descend more slowly and glide further. I can finally see the monument. Misaka Mikoto looked at the martyr's monument at the foot of the mountain and let out a long sigh of relief. Based on their current altitude and speed, it should not be a problem for them to reach the monument safely. However, they did not know how good Gohan's landing technique was and whether he could land safely. Oh right, Mr. Gohan, I wanted to ask you earlier. I remember that the hoverbike should be able to fly about 3 meters above the ground. Why didn't we just use the hoverbike to fly over? Why did we make it so troublesome? Misaka Mikoto asked in a puzzled manner. The hoverbike could fly 3 meters above the ground, and the zombies could not fly more than 2 meters above the ground. There was no problem at all. Even though the zombies are stupid, the paragon behind them isn't. It's 3 meters high. With just a few boulders we can fall from there. I don't want to damage the only means of transportation. We have to get back to Yuzhong City, Guhan said calmly. Alright, you always have a point. Misaka Mikoto stuck out her tongue. She was bored to death as she sat in the sky and began to observe the situation around her. As she looked around, she discovered a big problem. Mr. Guhan, our wings. There's something wrong with our wings, Misaka Mikoto said as she pointed at the glued wings. Guhan looked down and saw that more than half of the glue had loosened. The entire wing was trembling. As expected, 3 minutes isn't enough. Guhan sighed. He knew that this was a hidden danger left behind by the lack of waiting time. Under the impact of the air, the glue that was not completely firm had lost its effectiveness. From the looks of it, it would not be long before the 2 glass wings completely fell off. Ms. Misaka, we might have to make a hard landing later, Guhan said to Misaka Mikoto, who was behind him. He then controlled the hoverbike to dive toward the monument. He tried his best to land near the monument. When they were about 100 meters above the monument, the hoverbike shook violently. The left wing was the first to fall, leaving only the right wing. For an airplane, it would be better to break both wings than to break only one. If both wings were broken at the same time, the airplane would still be able to control its descent. However, if only one wing was broken, the airplane would start spinning like a top due to the unequal air flow. This was even more fatal for Guhan's glider that did not have a shell. The hoverbike did not have a safety belt. If the hoverbike were to flip, Misaka Mikoto would be the first to fall. Keep. Guhan made a prompt decision. He kept the hoverbike into his dimensional pocket while they were still in the air. The 2 of them were free-falling from the sky. Be careful. Guhan pulled Misaka Mikoto into his arms and hugged her tightly with both his hands. He controlled the fall with his back facing downward so that his body would become a cushion for Misaka Mikoto. Thud. Without any miracle, Guhan fell to the ground with Misaka Mikoto in his arms. He fell from a height of 100 meters and hit the ground with his back on the ground. At that moment, Misaka Mikoto could even hear the crisp sound of Guhan's bones breaking. Fortunately, he had the physical attributes of the 2 sword maidens, Doyu and Itian. This was a situation that would have been impossible for an ordinary person to survive. However, for Guhan, it was just a simple bone fracture. Since Guhan could lift his head when he was falling, his head did not suffer much damage. In any case, Guhan had lost his ability to fight. With his spine broken, he could no longer fight. Fortunately, the previously densely packed Yuan-ko were now very sparse. When Guhan landed, no Yuan-ko attacked Guhan. This allowed Guhan to summon the heavenly sword and have it protect him and Misaka Mikoto. Guhan entered the medical pod. According to the medical pod, Guhan would need about 20 minutes to fully recover. It seemed like Itian needed to protect him for 20 minutes until Guhan came out of the medical pod. Chapter 471. When the medical pod's indicator light lit up, Guhan crawled out of the medical pod. Spinal injuries could not be treated while awake. Hence, Guhan was forced to sleep. When he woke up from his dream, the first thing he thought about was the battle outside. Perhaps Itian was fighting a tough battle to protect him. Hence, Guhan immediately jumped out of the medical pod. He planned to join the battle and share some of Itian's and Misaka Mikoto's burden. However, when Guhan jumped out of the medical pod, he was surprised to find out that everything was peaceful outside. Guhan, you're finally awake. Itian immediately jumped next to Guhan when she saw him coming out of the medical pod. She looked like she was concerned about her best friend, but in reality, she had placed her hand on Guhan's dimensional pocket. Quick, you still have some cross left, right? Give it to me quickly. I've finished the 1,000 bottles of kvass you gave me last time. I'm going to die without kvass, here. Gohan took out a bottle of kvass from his dimensional pocket and gave it to Etion. It was the few bottles left in his dimensional pocket. Gohan's dimensional pocket did not have any left. Of course, that was not the main point. The main point was, why did Etion have the time to drink? Is the battle over? Gohan scanned the surroundings. It was a beautiful scenery with verdant hills and limpid waters. There was no sign of Yuan Yen. Yuan Yen was killed by you guys. I'm curious too. Gulp. Etion gulped down a mouthful of kvass. This heroine is ready to shed blood for you. However, after waiting here for so long, I haven't seen a single Yuan Ko. It's as if Yuan Ko doesn't exist on this mountain. I can only wait here for you to finish your treatment. I'm so bored. Gohan looked at Misaka Mikoto curiously. Misaka Mikoto nodded, confirming Etion's statement. She then added, I went to check the surroundings just now and found out that it's the same as what we observed in Jianya district. These zombies didn't dare to take a step forward after Yuan Ko reached the foot of the mountain. It seems like the person controlling them also forbade them from getting close to the Rainflower Terrace. How could this be? Gohan's keen senses told him that there were many secrets hidden in the Rainflower Terrace district. The things here far exceeded his imagination. However, that was not within Gohan's concern. The most important thing right now was for Misaka Mikoto to heal herself and bring her back to Yuzhong City. He wanted to use Misaka Mikoto's U-level abilities to contribute to the protection of Yuzhong City. Ms. Misaka, no matter what happens to those Yuan Ko, let's hurry to the monument you mentioned. After so many hardships, we've finally reached this step, Gohan said to Misaka Mikoto as he put away the medical pod. Upon hearing Gohan's words, an unnatural awkwardness flashed across Misaka Mikoto's face. However, she did not say much and only nodded. The group then walked toward the Rainflower Terrace Martyrs Monument. Before the cataclysm, the Rainflower Terrace had been surrounded on all sides by the bustling city. Only this mountain range had evergreen trees and grass. No real estate developer had dared to have any ideas on the Rainflower Terrace. It didn't even need to think to know how precious this piece of land was. What urban oxygen lungs, what Nanjing's largest garden, what forest and life. This was a first-class forest park district. The price of the house could easily be a few thousand yuan more expensive than the surrounding areas. Instead of wasting this piece of land here, it would only earn less than a few million yuan in ticket sales every year. The reason for this was because of the Martyrs' Monument. When the Communist Party founded the country, more than 100,000 communist believers, party members, and workers were killed by the reactionaries here. Every inch of land here was truly dyed red by the blood of the martyrs. Anyone who dared to touch this piece of land was simply courting death. As time passed after the apocalypse, the other areas of Nanjing were once again occupied by forests. This area, which was originally lush with trees, became even more lush. Most of the buildings were completely destroyed. Only the Martyrs' Monument at the highest point remained towering after 1,000 years. It was as if the souls of the martyrs were really guarding this place. The area where Gohan fell was not far from the monument. After walking for a few minutes, they arrived at the bottom of the monument. Gohan let out a sigh of relief when he saw this monument. He smiled at Misaka Mikoto. Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. Ms. Misaka, you can start treating your injuries now. Thank you, Mr. Gohan, for your help. Misaka Mikoto bowed deeply at Gohan. However, we might have to wait here for a while. The time to treat my injuries hasn't arrived yet. Time? Gohan was stunned. What time? He had never heard Misaka Mikoto mention it before. However, Gohan did not think too much about it. No problem. How long do we have to wait? Is an hour enough? I can prepare some food for everyone. An hour. Misaka Mikoto looked slightly ashamed. I'm really sorry. Looking at the weather, I'm afraid we'll have to wait for at least a few days. A few days. Gohan looked at Misaka Mikoto with an inexplicable gaze. A few days? Are you kidding me? Yuzhong City might be done for in a few days. After a period of not-so-friendly communication, Gohan finally understood what Misaka Mikoto was hiding from him. The reason why Misaka Mikoto had to rush to the Rainflower Terrace to treat her injuries was not because of the elixirs or magical herbs in the Rainflower Terrace, but because of the lightning in the Rainflower Terrace. According to Misaka Mikoto, her injuries were caused by the destruction of the electromagnetic model in her body. She had to rebuild the electromagnetic model in her body. In order to rebuild the electromagnetic model, Misaka Mikoto could not rely on her own strength. She had to borrow the help of an external electric current. Moreover, it had to be an external electric current that was naturally generated in the universe. In this world, there was no external electric current that was purer than lightning. If it was just lightning, it could be found everywhere. There was no need for her to come all the way to the Rainflower Terrace. However, it was different when the external electric current was prefixed with the word spiritual. Spiritual lightning was not found everywhere. After all this time, Misaka Mikoto had only discovered one place where the lightning was spiritual, and that was the lightning in the Rainflower Terrace. Therefore, if Misaka Mikoto wanted to treat her injuries, she had to fulfill two conditions. First, she had to arrive at the Rainflower Terrace. Second, there had to be lightning near the Rainflower Terrace. Moreover, the lightning had to be naturally generated and not artificially generated. Why didn't you tell me earlier? After listening to Misaka Mikoto's explanation, Gohan did not feel good. One could even say that Gohan was a little angry. That was because naturally generated lightning was completely uncontrollable. It could be continuous lightning and thunder for a day, or it could be half a year without a single drop of rain. Was Gohan supposed to wait for Misaka Mikoto every day that there was no lightning? If Gohan had the time to waste here, did he have the time to do so in Yuzhong City? If I told you, would you have sent me all the way here? Misaka Mikoto looked apologetic once again. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have lied to you about this. You can go back after you send me to Rainflower Terrace. Leave some food for me. I'll wait for the thunder at Rainflower Terrace. Who would have thought that Gohan, who had tricked Misaka Mikoto, would find out that he had been tricked as well. Moreover, he had been tricked from the beginning to the end. If it was someone else who heard the truth, even if they did not beat Misaka Mikoto up, they would immediately leave and never care about this scammer again. However, Gohan did not do that. Although Gohan was still very angry when he heard the news, he kept his cool. Since the truth could not be changed, he had to deal with it to the best of his ability. Follow me back to Yuzhong City. Gohan sighed and made what he thought was the best decision. I don't have time to wait for your lightning here, so you have to follow me back to Yuzhong City. I won't go to Yuzhong City with you. Misaka Mikoto shook her head. I'm worse than a cripple now. What's the use of me going to Yuzhong City? Of course it's useful. Gohan said in a deep voice, your freelancer friends probably don't know that you've successfully escaped. As long as you follow them to Yang Fortress, find your friends, and tell them that you're out of danger, they'll leave you on Ko and help Yuzhong City. That's enough. That's why you're helping me out of the kindness of your heart. You want to gain my and my friend's power. Misaka Mikoto's words were full of bones. You're the one who caused this disaster, and the crisis of tens of millions of lives in Yuzhong City is also because of you. Don't you have to take responsibility? Gohan's tone became aggressive. Of course I'll take responsibility. It's precisely because of this that I have to use my own power to defeat Loki. I have to return to being a level 6 super electromagnetic gun and not be a cripple who will drag my friends into danger again. Do you understand? Misaka Mikoto screamed. Misaka Mikoto cried out, you know how dangerous the upcoming battle is. My friends have sacrificed a lot to save me. I can't let them get involved in such a dangerous situation. This is a creator's godhead. If we fail, even if we're LV6, we'll be annihilated on the spot. There's no way I'll let my friends get involved. What do you mean? Didn't we agree on this? I'll help you regain your strength, and you'll let your friends fight alongside Yuzhong City. What do you mean now? Are you going to go back on your word and let your friends abandon Yuzhong City? Guhan glared at Misaka Mikoto as if he wanted to eat her alive. Mr. Guhan, please understand that my friends are just my friends. I don't have the right to decide their actions. I've never promised you that they'll join the battle, Misaka Mikoto said, enunciating every word. Guhan recalled everything he had said to Misaka Mikoto. Indeed, Misaka Mikoto had never promised him anything like that. It was all Guhan's own speculation. Once Misaka Mikoto's friends knew that Misaka Mikoto was safe, they would be forced by Loki to join Yuzhong City's camp and take revenge on Loki. This was all in Guhan's head. Misaka Mikoto had never promised him anything like that. Misaka Mikoto felt guilty when she saw Guhan's speechless expression. At the end of the day, she was the one who lied to Guhan out of selfishness. She did not tell him the truth about the lightning, which led to the current situation. She was the source of all the mistake. All right, I'll go back to Yuzhong City with you now. I swear that I'll use all my strength to make up for my mistake. I won't hesitate even if I have to give up my life. However, I won't drag my friends into this. I have no right to do so, Misaka Mikoto said solemnly. Wait for your lightning here. Guhan waved his hand and the heavenly sword returned to Guhan's hand. Guhan was filled with anger as he looked at the clear, cloudless sky. He suddenly felt that he had been tricked, not only by Misaka Mikoto, but he was also tricked by the wretched heavenly sword that was secretly manipulating everything. The wretched heavens not only made humans suffer for 1,000 years, but his only home, Yuzhong City, was about to be destroyed. The battle that he had worked so hard for 2 whole days turned out to be a scam. Guhan did not know where to vent his anger. He could only point the heavenly sword in his hand at the sky and shouted, "Wretched heavens, I, Guhan, will fight you to the death for what happened today." Thunderclap! Boom! It was as if the wretched heavenly sword was punishing Guhan for his blasphemy and provocation. Several lightning bolts suddenly struck down from the cloudless sky and struck Guhan's side. 100-year-old tree next to Guhan was instantly turned into charcoal. Guhan was stunned when he saw this. He then sheathed the heavenly sword and turned around to face Misaka Mikoto, who was equally confused. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and heal your wounds." As the saying went, a roar that shakes the heavens and startles the flowers in the rain. Thunder rolls across the ancient capital. Chapter 472. I'll need at least 12 bolts of lightning to complete the reconstruction of the electromagnetic model in my body. Misaka Mikoto slowly sat on the ground and unbuttoned her clothes without hesitation. Misaka Mikoto, who used to throw a tantrum when she was seen naked, probably felt guilty for deceiving Guhan. However, this time, she did not say anything and took off her clothes neatly. My body must be in full contact with the lightning in order to completely absorb the power of the lightning, Misaka Mikoto explained. She hesitated for a while. I'm forced to do this. It's not a big deal. I understand. Guhan's expression was rather cold. His attitude was completely different from when he was with Misaka Mikoto. To Guhan, protecting Misaka Mikoto was really just a mission. There was nothing else in it. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say other than sorry. I lied to you. Misaka Mikoto let out a long sigh. I promise you that this time, I'll fight to the death for Yuzhong City. As long as I, Misaka Mikoto, exist in this world, Yuzhong City will definitely exist in this world. I'll live and die with Yuzhong City. All right, I thank you too, Ms. Misaka. Guhan's expression softened a little, but it was still very cold. I also promise you that as long as I'm here, Yuan-ko won't be able to hurt you. Thank you. Misaka Mikoto nodded. She then looked up at the sky that was filled with dark clouds. After staring at it for a while, her eyes suddenly lit up. Mr. Gohan, the lightning is coming. As the strongest electromagnetic superpower user, Misaka Mikoto's ability to sense lightning was undeniable. Mr. Gohan, when the lightning strikes, I'll use all my concentration to control the lightning in my body. I'll leave everything outside of my body to you, Mr. Gohan. Misaka Mikoto paused for a while before adding, if you encounter an opponent you can't defeat, Mr. Gohan, please leave this place decisively. This is my fate and I'll accept it with a smile. Misaka Mikoto then sat on the ground with her legs crossed. As soon as she finished her sentence, a golden lightning bolt struck down from the sky. Although the lightning bolt was 2 kilometers away from Misaka Mikoto, it suddenly made a turn in the sky as if it was attracted by something and landed on Misaka Mikoto's body. Misaka Mikoto's body is filled with electric current. She's like a high-energy superconductor that can attract all the lightning within a few kilometers to her body, Gohan speculated as he saw the lightning strike Misaka Mikoto's body. However, Gohan didn't know if his eyes were playing tricks on him, but he noticed that when the lightning fell on the sky above the Rainflower Terrace monument, the whole sky trembled, as if something had been pierced. Normally, Misaka Mikoto should have turned into a pile of charcoal after being struck by such a powerful lightning bolt. However, Misaka Mikoto was an ultimate electromagnetic superpower user. Her foundation was also the foundation of a Yang-level Yuan-ko. After the lightning strike, not only was Misaka Mikoto's body not charred, but it also had a crystal-like texture. Some parts of her body were as perfect as a silicone doll. Not a single flaw could be seen, and it made people's hearts race. Oh no, the aftereffects of the 3 green lotus blades are here again. Gohan's lower body was swollen, and he looked like a Mongolian yurt. Gohan did not dare to look at Misaka Mikoto anymore. At that moment, Misaka Mikoto's naked body had a strong attraction that men could not resist. Roar! Roar! Just at this time, the zombies that were originally restrained outside the Rainflower Terrace suddenly became restless, and began to let out terrifying beast-like howls one after another. It looks like the Yuan-ko is finally going to attack. Seeing the zombies' actions, Gohan clearly knew that his leisurely time just now no longer existed. These zombies were going to attack the Rainflower Terrace. However, why are the Yuan-ko only attacking now? Why didn't they attack when Gohan and the others entered the Rainflower Terrace? This doesn't make sense at all. Gohan could not figure it out. However, he had a feeling that everything had something to do with Misaka Mikoto, who was behind him. When she started to heal herself, the Yuan-ko became agitated and were ready to attack. Gohan looked at the surrounding terrain. It was a typical highland. On both sides were cliffs that were about 10 meters tall, and there was a steep slope at the front and back. This terrain was probably an extension of the buildings from before the apocalypse. The cliffs were supposed to be high concrete walls, and the 2 steep slopes were supposed to be a series of stairs. Therefore, Gohan's current defensive strategy was very simple. Gohan and Heavenly Reliance would each guard the entrance of a steep slope. Then, Doyu would be the mobile force and reserve force. This was the most typical defensive strategy. Fortunately, Misaka Mikoto had entered the state of inner vision due to her healing. All her focus was on controlling the lightning that had entered her body, allowing them to rebuild the electromagnetic model in her body. Misaka Mikoto had no energy to care about anything else other than her body. No matter what, this was the final moment of the mission. As long as Gohan was able to stop the zombies' attack, Yuzhong City would have another strong ally. Moreover, it would be a universe-level freedom who had the intention to repay Misaka Mikoto with her own life. More importantly, although Misaka Mikoto said that she would never let her friends be in danger because of her, When Misaka Mikoto was in danger, would her friends stand by and do nothing? Therefore, as long as he could protect Misaka Mikoto, Gohan believed that there was at least a 70% chance that Yuzhong City would have the support of 4 to 5 universe-level freedom. To Yuzhong City it would be like a complete tonic. Of course, if he encountered an opponent that even Gohan felt he could not defeat, then Gohan would not fight to the death. As long as he had the Green Onion Stone and the training formation, Gohan would have no problem protecting his own life. However, when that time came, Misaka Mikoto might really die here. Oh well, if that's the case, then it's just like what she said, this is fate. Therefore, Gohan was fully prepared to protect Misaka Mikoto. However, after waiting for a long time, the zombies did not attack. Although they were still restless and howling even louder, they did not attack the top of the mountain no matter what. It was like a play on stage. They looked fierce on stage, but they would not leave the stage no matter what. What are they doing? Are they trying to scare us? Ition was puzzled when he saw the scene. No, they're waiting. Gohan shook his head. He seemed to have figured out something, but he was still confused. They're waiting for an opportunity, but what is this opportunity? Boom. Another bolt of lightning fell from the sky and landed near the Rainflower Terrace. It was attracted by Misaka Mikoto, who was sitting there, and entered her body. This time, Gohan paid close attention to every detail. As expected, just like the previous time, when the lightning got close to the Rainflower Terrace, the sky above the terrace shook. It seemed to shake even more violently than before. Gohan, they're moving. They're starting to move. At that time, Ition, who had been observing the bottom of the mountain, suddenly shouted. Gohan did not have time to think about the strange movement caused by the lightning and looked down. He saw the zombies that were hopping on the ground and not moving a moment ago suddenly charging toward the top of the mountain at full speed. Ition, let's guard each side. According to their previous strategy, Ition blocked the entrance of the steep slope behind Misaka Mikoto while Gohan threw the Doyu sword in his hand to free Gu-yun. He then instructed her to observe the cliffs on both sides to prevent the zombies from climbing up the cliff. Come on, you useless zombies. This heroine will kill as many as you come. Ition waved her sword and taunted the zombies. Unfortunately, the zombies had no intelligence and could not understand Ition's words. In their eyes, Ition was no different from a lively monkey. With the zombies' speed, it would take them about 5 minutes to walk from the foot of the mountain to the Rainflower Terrace monument. After all, normal zombies did not move very fast. Moreover, the roads around the Rainflower Terrace were mostly mountain roads. For zombies with poor balance, it was very tiring to walk. However, after the zombies had walked for less than a minute, Gohan noticed that something was wrong with the zombies. The zombies' eyes, nostrils, and mouths. Wherever there was a hole, there was a black liquid flowing out. Moreover, as time passed, the speed of the black liquid flowing out increased. In the end, it was like a faucet that had been turned on to its maximum capacity. The black liquid gushed out crazily and the zombies' bodies began to shrink. In the end, they turned into a deflated balloon and collapsed to the ground, turning into a horrifying corpse skin. At the same time, a dimensional vortex appeared and sucked in the corpse skin and the black liquid that flowed out. In less than 2 minutes, the zombies died before they could even touch Gohan's body. It was as if their bodies had been squeezed dry by a juicer. Gohan had never heard of such a method of death. What kind of secret was hidden in this cemetery of martyrs? Chapter 473. Gohan helplessly put down the Chinpin sword in his hand. He was prepared for a tough battle, but what the hell was going on? Yuan Ko just fell like that. I've seen something similar before. Ition, who was no longer on guard, walked back to Gohan's side and said slowly, I've seen something like this when I Ching and I were fighting against Celestial in Guangzhou. Celestial has a kind of void technology that can control the evil energy in the void in a certain area. As long as a non-void creature stays in this area, their life force will be slowly consumed by the void energy until they die. It looks like the effect here is similar to the void technology. As long as they stay in a certain area, the life force of these zombies will gradually disappear until they die. Is there such a detail in that battle? Gohan knew about Zhetion's battle in Guangzhou. He heard that at that time, Celestial had sent a vanguard fleet led by an Archon into this world. They planned to turn this planet into Celestial's home. As a result, he encountered Shroud Heaven's sword spirit, who had just become a spirit sword wielder at that time. After a bitter battle, Shroud Heaven single-handedly destroyed the entire Star Spirit fleet. This battle made Shroud Heaven's name spread throughout the human world. From then on, humans knew that there was such a powerful character like Shroud Heaven in their camp. However, there were too few witnesses to the Battle of the Astrals. Later generations could only restore the scene of the battle based on some clues and a few words. There had never been any record of the Astrals using void energy in history. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. I'm just telling you that I suspect this area might be shrouded by an energy similar to void energy. However, this energy doesn't harm us humans or the Sword Mistress. At least, it doesn't harm us. However, to Yuan Ko, it's fatal, Tian concluded. No, you're wrong. Gohan shook his head. I'm afraid the energy here isn't targeting Yuan Ko. If that's the case, the first one to fall would be Misaka Mikoto, not these zombies. You mean that this energy is only effective against zombies, Yuan Ko? Tian asked. I don't know. Maybe it's only effective on zombies, maybe it's effective on undead creatures, or maybe it's effective on all dark creatures. I don't have enough data to refer to, so I can't make an accurate judgment. Gohan licked his lips. But one thing is for sure. It's a good thing for us. That's true. Maybe by drinking and singing here, we'll be able to protect this Billy successfully. Tian said optimistically. What did you call her? Beep beep beep? Gohan was stunned. He remembered that this name seemed to be the name of a large same-sex dating website before the apocalypse. Didn't I tell you? Tian blinked. Back then, Zhetion and I fought together with this Billy. Zhetion and I always called her Billy. Wait a minute, why did I call her Billy? I can't remember. Hearing Tian's words, Gohan recalled that Misaka Mikoto did mention that she and Zhetion had fought together before. That was why she could recognize the heavenly sword at first glance. Could it be that I Ching gave Misaka Mikoto the nickname Billy? Billy. Gohan repeated it a few times. He smiled as he recalled how Misaka Mikoto's body emitted spark. That's quite an image. At the foot of the mountain, after the first wave of zombies had died, the remaining zombies immediately stopped in their tracks. They returned to their previous state of not daring to take another step forward. Looks like there's a will controlling these zombies. They've learned their lesson so quickly. Tian expressed his opinion. That's the most troublesome thing. An opponent who's learned their lesson is much stronger than an opponent who only has courage. As Gohan said this, he looked up at the sky. It could be seen that another bolt of lightning was brewing at this moment. As expected, 10 seconds later, the lightning bolt struck down from the dark clouds. This time, there was no need for Misaka Mikoto to attract the lightning bolt. The lightning bolt's target was the Rainflower Terrace. Under Gohan's attentive gaze, he clearly saw that when the lightning bolt was about 200 meters above the Rainflower Terrace, there was a strong arc-shaped fluctuation in the sky. It felt as if there was a transparent pot lid covering the Rainflower Terrace's head. The lightning bolt had pierced through the lid and caused the entire lid to vibrate. In other words, this Rainflower Terrace also had a personal shield. The lightning bolt had pierced through the personal shield of the Rainflower Terrace, thus triggering the fluctuation of the entire personal shield. Compared to the first lightning bolt, the fluctuation caused by the third lightning bolt was much stronger. If the personal shield was the same, it meant that the energy of the personal shield was in the process of weakening. Gohan, the zombies are moving again. They're on the move again. Under Etion's warning, Gohan discovered that the zombies that had just calmed down had once again started to climb towards the Rainflower Terrace monument. Just like last time, these zombies' ears, noses, mouths and eyes started to have black liquid flowing out. But last time, they were squeezed dry after a minute and a half, turning into a stinky bag of skin. This time, these zombies advanced for a full 2.5 minutes before finally dying. What's going on? Why are these zombies able to last longer? Could it be that their strength has increased? Etion was a little worried. These zombies were only rat level, and it was already very difficult to deal with. If they were to increase to tiger level, it would be even more difficult to deal with. No, it's not that the zombie's strength has increased. It's that the layer of energy that's enveloping the Rainflower Terrace has weakened. Gohan lowered his head and looked around. He suddenly realized something and said, "I understand now. It's the lightning bolt. It's the lightning bolt that weakened the energy here." When he thought about what happened earlier, part of the truth became clear at a glance. Under the attack of the lightning bolt, the personal shield of the Rainflower Terrace became weaker and weaker. Correspondingly, the zombies received less damage. That was why the zombies could last for 2.5 minutes from 1.5 minute. It was not that their strength had increased, it was that the energy here had weakened. Etion, return to your position and prepare for battle. I'm guessing that if 2 more lightning bolts strike, we'll really have to fight. Very soon, Gohan's prophecy became reality. When the 4th and 5th lightning bolts struck Misaka Mikoto, the zombies were already in front of Gohan and Etion. However, by the time they reached them, they were already all skin and bones. Gohan did not even need to use any strength to chop off their necks with one slash of his sword. The real battle only started after the 7th lightning bolt was absorbed by Misaka Mikoto. When the lightning bolt struck, there was no longer a need to pay attention to the energy fluctuation of the layer of energy. The signs that it was about to collapse became more and more obvious. After the 7th lightning bolt, the zombies officially sounded the horn to attack. When these normal zombies charged towards Gohan, they were no different from the zombies that Gohan had slaughtered when he first arrived. Although he could still kill one with one slash of his sword, Gohan had to use 100% of his strength to fight this battle. However, the intensity of the battle was within Gohan's expectations. Previously, Gohan was able to kill his way out of the horde of zombies and was able to guard the entrance to the top floor. Naturally, it would not be a problem for him now. As long as Gohan stood there, he was confident that he would not let any normal zombies in. However, what worried Gohan the most was the 2 cliffs around them. If any zombies tried to break through from there, Gohan did not have the confidence to guard such a wide front. As the saying goes, what you fear will happen. When the 8th lightning bolt exploded and was absorbed into Misaka Mikoto's body, the gigantic excavator zombies once again appeared in Gohan's field of vision. They were more than 10 meters tall. Even if they were standing at the bottom of the cliff, their arms could easily attack Misaka Mikoto, who was on the monument's platform. What was more terrifying were the excavators in their hands. They only needed to use the excavators to knock on the cliff, and the entire cliff would collapse. It would then become a new entrance for the ordinary zombies to attack, just like Gohan's heavenly guard. Etion, how many mouthfuls of green plum wine do you have left? Seeing this, Gohan knew that it was time for Etion to attack. 2 mouthfuls left. Etion quickly gave an answer. Etion's ultimate skill, green plum wine, had a duration of 10 seconds and a cooldown of 30 seconds. Etion's wine gourd could store up to 5 mouthfuls of green plum wine. In other words, Etion could transform up to 5 times in a short period of time. Wait a minute. Something was not right. Etion had drunk a mouthful of green plum wine when she killed the excavator zombies, Yuan Ko. She should have 4 mouthfuls left. Why was there only 2 mouthfuls? Etion, where are the remaining 2 mouthfuls of green plum wine? Gohan immediately questioned. About that. Kvass ran out when you were healing me just now. This heroine drank 2 mouthfuls of green plum wine to satisfy her craving. Etion said righteously, what's wrong? This is this heroine's green plum wine. Can't this heroine drink it? Hearing Etion's answer, Gohan almost vomited blood. Such an important green plum wine could be said to be related to the success or failure of the entire battle. How could someone drink it as a drink to satisfy their craving? Chapter 474. This time, there were 15 excavator zombies that appeared on the Rainflower Terrace. They surrounded the terrace from 4 directions. If the Heavenly Sword still had 4 mouthfuls of green plum wine, then it would have been very easy to kill these Yuan-Ko zombies. However, now that the Heavenly Sword only had 2 mouthfuls left, it had become an almost impossible task. No, it's not completely impossible. Gohan memorized the positions of these 15 Yuan-Ko zombies in his mind. Then, he continuously deduced the positions of these 15 excavator zombies. Fortunately, these excavator zombies were still quite a distance away from the Rainflower Terrace. Gohan had a relatively long time to madly calculate in his mind. With such a high-intensity calculation going on in his mind, Gohan naturally could not defend against these zombies. Fortunately, Gohan had already arranged for Doyu to be his backup. When Gohan was deep in thought, she immediately took over Gohan's position. Although she was relatively short, she was very fast in killing these zombies. Doyu and Gohan's methods were different. Gohan and Heavenly Sword killed these zombies by chopping off their opponents' heads, but Doyu killed them by directly piercing their opponents' hearts and then turning their hearts into meat paste. In Gohan's mind, the positions of these zombies were like chess pieces on a chessboard. Gohan constantly connected 2 or a few of them, and then quickly rejected his own thoughts. At this time, Gohan's mind was like a tractor engine that had been driven to 180 kilometers per hour. It had already exceeded its limits and was emitting smoke everywhere. Just as it was about to explode, a light finally appeared. And the 15 chess pieces landed in an instant. Then, they were pierced by Gohan with 2 lines. It could be said to be perfect. Heavenly Sword. Memorize these 2 lines for me, and remember the time of each point. Don't miss even 0.1 seconds. Gohan used the sword mark to force a large amount of information from his mind into Etion's mind. Etion's consciousness could not accept such a large amount of information in a short period of time. It was stuck on the spot for a long time before it recovered. Etion was like a baby that had been forcefully fed a big mouthful of rice. It was in his mouth for a long time before he finally swallowed it into his stomach. As she digested the information, she even forgot to swing her sword. Fortunately, Gohan took over the defense at the first moment, and then commanded Doyu to rush to the other side, taking over Etion's task of blocking the door, preventing the zombies from rushing in. You actually made the time accurate to 0.1 seconds. After Etion received the entire information, he started to complain. I've never seen a plan with such a strict limitation. That's because you have never met me. Gohan said dryly. If you can't do it, I'll go by myself. You decide. Humph, you want to provoke me with such a shallow method. Etion glared at Gohan. Gohan, today I'll let you witness this heroine's power. Well, the first sentence he said he would not be provoked, but in the next second, he slapped his own mouth. Etion was indeed Etion, other girls would not be able to learn these things. Thank you. Gohan chopped off the heads of the 3 zombies with 1 slash. Taking this opportunity, he bowed to Etion and said gratefully, Thank you, Etion, my best friend. I know that this plan has troubled you, but the only one who can help me now is you. TSK, why are your words so mushy? Etion trembled when she heard Gohan's words. However, Her expression was obviously much better, and there was a faint smile on her face. The unhappiness from before had already disappeared. "You're wise to trust this heroine, my best friend." For the first time, the word, best friend, came out of Etion's mouth. This was a signal that Etion had finally recognized Gohan. Who would have thought that Gohan's sweet words would bring such an unexpected surprise? Sure enough, some words were right. Women would never like a man who quietly worked for them, but a man who said sweet words to them all day long. If a man wasn't bad, women wouldn't like him. Etion, do it? As Gohan fought with the zombies, he stared at the traces of the excavator zombies. When the position of the nearest excavator zombie reached a certain point that Gohan was staring at, Gohan ordered Etion to do it within 0.01 seconds. Neigh. Claw Yellow Lightning let out a neigh, and this world-famous horse instantly appeared under Etion's crotch. Etion, who was riding Claw Yellow Lightning in her hero form, clamped her legs on the horse's belly. Claw Yellow Lightning, just like its name, instantly turned into a golden lightning bolt, galloping towards its target, the excavator Yuan Ko. In the eyes of ordinary people, it was as if they only saw a flash of lightning, and then a huge excavator zombie instantly died. After killing the first excavator Yuan Ko, the lightning bolt didn't stop, but continued to charge towards the rest of the excavator zombies, passing by them. And every time it passed by an excavator zombie, that zombie directly fell and died on the spot, not even having the chance to struggle. 10 seconds passed in the blink of an eye, but in this short 10 seconds, 8 of the 15 excavator Yuan Ko had already died, returning to the dimensional whirlpool. This was the best slaughter route that Gohan had simulated in his mind. These excavator zombies weren't static things. Gohan had to accurately calculate the movement of each excavator zombie, and calculate the position of the excavator zombies when Etion attacked, in order to achieve the magnificent feat of killing 8 excavator zombies in different positions within 10 seconds. This was extremely taxing on Gohan's brain. When Gohan washed his hair for the first time afterward, he washed out 1/20th of his hair. There was so much black hair that it almost blocked the drain in the bathroom. Although Gohan's calculations played a very key role, as the direct executor, Etion's entire set of movements were completed so quickly, accurately, and flawlessly. It must be known that this battle plan of Gohan's was an abnormal plan that was accurate to 0.1 seconds, and only a sword mistress with superb swordsmanship like Etion could complete this. If it was another sword mistress, Gohan dared to say that under the spiritual sword, other than the 3-foot sword, no sword mistress could do this. When the 10 seconds were over, Etion, who had killed the 8th excavator zombie, returned to her original appearance, and then fell into the group of zombies, instantly becoming the target of the zombies. Etion, you can now rest for half a minute, wait for my order, the other 7 are no match for you. Gohan's order came one after another, but it was also a good order. After Etion completed the miracle of killing 8 zombies in 10 seconds, her stamina had indeed been greatly depleted. In order to replenish her stamina, she did not even swing her sword to kill the zombies that surrounded her. She directly used her personal shield to block the zombies' attacks, and simply sat on the ground to rest. She was using the energy of her personal shield in exchange for stamina recovery. From this, one could see how much stamina Etion had consumed in the 10 seconds of killing 8 zombies. On the other hand, Gohan did not have it easy as well. He had to constantly keep an eye on the remaining 7 excavator zombies to see if they were moving at the speed and position that he had predicted. These excavator zombies were very obedient, and they really started moving according to Gohan's plan. If there were no changes, everything would fall into Gohan's calculations. However, no matter how meticulous Gohan was, he still missed something. During the 30 seconds when Etion was resting and waiting for the cooldown of her green plum wine skill, suddenly, there was another thunderbolt in the sky. The ninth thunderbolt fell from the sky and landed on Misaka Mikoto's body. The thing that Gohan missed out on in his calculations was none other than this sudden ninth thunderbolt. Due to the ninth thunderbolt, the energy field that enveloped the Rainflower Terrace once again suffered an extreme loss. The zombies that were close to Gohan also had their combat power increased by a lot. However, what Gohan miscalculated was not the combat power of these normal zombies, nor was it the combat power of the remaining 7 excavator zombies. Instead, it was their movement speed. The direct result of the suppression of the energy field was that the speed of the 7 excavator zombies increased by about 20%. This was absolutely fatal to Gohan's plan. Gohan's previous plan still failed. Gohan had to come up with a new battle plan in the remaining 10 seconds or so. Moreover, Gohan could not overuse his brain. Otherwise, he would not be able to stop the zombies' attack in front of him. Currently, there was no Doyu as a backup team to help him accept the defense mission. He had to focus on the problem of the battle plan. No, I can't think of anything. These excavator Yuan Ko's speed is too fast. It's impossible to get rid of the remaining 7 within 10 seconds. Gohan's brain was not a supercomputer. Gohan wasted more than half of his time, but he still could not achieve his goal. When Gohan confirmed this point, Etion's ultimate skill could be used again. As for the excavator Yuan Ko that was closest to the Rainflower Terrace monument, it was only 10 seconds away. Etion, I'll leave everything to you. Gohan suddenly said to Etion, there's no other plan now. Use your maximum speed and kill all these zombies from far to near. You really know how to shift the blame. Hearing that Gohan was obviously going all out, Etion could only smile bitterly. What else could he do? I'll try my best. Etion leaped up high and temporarily jumped out of the encirclement of zombies. Then, he gulped down some green plum wine and returned to his valiant and heroic appearance. Gohan, do you know how terrifying Heavenly Sword is when it's at full strength? Even I don't know how terrifying it is. Etion took a deep breath. The golden lightning on the battlefield flashed once again. Every time it flashed, an excavator Yuan Ko would die. Chapter 475. Captain, we're about to enter the Maiden mountain range. There are a lot of Yuan Ko around here. I'm afraid we'll have to enter stealth mode. A team of 7 white-haired men hid in the forest. From their position, they could see no less than 100 Yuan Ko roaming around. This team of 7 was the scouting team formed by the man-made sword mistress, sky-piercing swords. Sky-piercing swords weren't very strong in battle, but they had the ability to travel through the void, which only immortal sword wielders could have. They also had the stealth ability of the sword mistress. Just think about it. A person capable of short-distance teleportation and invisibility stacked together would be a natural-born scout. This was also why Shifeng had chosen Sky-Piercing Sword to form a scouting party. After all, only they could enter and exit the dark forest alive. But even though they had such a suitable scouting ability, they had suffered the greatest loss since their founding in the last mission. Not only had their core leader, the team leader, died there, but the rest of the team members had also lost an average of more than 30 years of lifespan. They had turned from young, fresh meats into white-haired uncles. It could be said that half of their lives had been lost in that battle. This was their most precious thing, but they still felt no regret. Today, after receiving the mission that Sword Immortal Bystock claimed was to save the entire Yuzhong city, they once again set out without stopping. Listen up, we only have one mission, and that is to find out what Yuan Ko is doing in the Maiden mountain range. Especially if we discover any signs of Yuan Ko mining, we must find out what they are mining. Remember, our mission is only to gather information. We are not allowed to have any conflict with Yuan Ko, nor are we allowed to do anything else. We cannot expose our whereabouts. Do you understand? The former vice-captain, who was now the captain, said to his team members. The team members nodded vigorously, indicating that they would definitely follow the orders. Very good. Everyone, hold your swords. The team leader gave the order and took the lead in gripping his sky-piercing sword in his hand. The rest of the team members followed suit and gripped their swords in unison. However, upon closer inspection, one could see that most of their palms were trembling slightly. This represented the fear in their hearts. Even though they didn't fear death to come here, Zhu Wudao made it clear to them before they left. There might be more than 20 Meteor Realm Yuan Ko and 4 or 5 Universe Realm Yuan Ko in the Miling Mountain Range. If they didn't handle this mission well, it might be the last mission of their lives. The desolate grade Yuan Ko, the father of the gods, Zeus, once said, "Be it in this world or that world, humans are incomprehensible creatures. Even if their hearts are filled with fear, they will never lose that bit of light. If we want to defeat the humans in the end, we must defeat that last bit of light." Unfortunately, after 500 years, I still haven't found a way to destroy that bit of light. The current scouting team was the best portrayal of Zeus' words. Even though their hearts were filled with fear and they knew that they wouldn't be able to return because of the existence of that bit of light, their footsteps were fearless. Everyone, listen to me. This time, we will definitely return safely. The team leader's voice was calm and full of power. This time, Sword Immortal Baiju is hiding in the void and is watching us. As long as we complete the mission, he will immediately use the Void Hand to pull us into the void and return to Yuzhong City. I guarantee that this time, everyone will return safely. The team leader's words were like good medicine. In an instant, all the team members looked much better and their wrists were no longer trembling. The team leader was right. This time, with Sword Immortal Baiju secretly protecting them, they would definitely be able to return safely to Yuzhong City. Sigh, this team leader must have never watched television dramas, movies, or anime. He didn't know that he had raised such a huge flag for his team members. Is this really our Miling Mountain Range? The recon party, who were in stealth mode, looked at the scene before them in shock and anger. Although part of the Miling Mountain Range had been turned into bear mines due to human exploitation, the majority of the Miling Mountain Range still maintained its original beautiful forest. However, at this time, the Miling Mountain Range had become a scorched land. All the trees were gone and shattered rocks were scattered everywhere. The originally red land had also turned black. It was as if this place had become hell on earth. There were all kinds of Yuan Ko walking around the team. Most of these Yuan Ko were magical beasts like Yuan Ko. Occasionally, there would be some Yuan Ko in human form, such as vampires and succubi like Yuan Ko. In short, these Yuan Ko were almost all Yuan Ko from the Western Magical Beast Camp. There wasn't a single Eastern Yuan Ko. The scouting team had to carefully avoid these Yuan Ko. They couldn't have the slightest contact with them, otherwise their invisibility would be immediately broken. Although the invisibility ability of the Sky Piercer could last for a long time, there was a limit. They absolutely couldn't have the slightest contact with any of the Yuan Ko. Even if it was just a touch of their clothes, their invisibility would immediately be broken. In this area that was densely packed with Yuan silhouettes, only death would await him if he were to reveal himself. Team leader, look over there. Those are the statues of the 7 heroes of Miling. Suddenly, a team member pointed at several broken stone statues. Anyone in Yuzhong City could recognize at a glance that these 7 statues were the 7 heroes of Plum Ridge, who had sacrificed their lives for humanity during the war against Medusa and turned into stone statues. They had been the heroes and idols of Yuzhong City for hundreds of years. In these hundreds of years, they had been worshipped by generations of Yuzhong people. It could be said that they had become part of Yuzhong City's heritage and culture. Not too long ago, when these team members had just become sword bearers, they had also come here to offer their offerings and respect to these heroic spirit. However, such an important thing in their hearts had now been turned into a pile of rubble, carelessly tossed here. Damn it, these Yuan Ko! A team member clenched his fist, but immediately, another hand was placed on top of his fist. Idiot, listen to me. As a scout, we need to stay calm. Don't harm your teammates, the team leader said dryly. This emotional team member seemed to have been doused with a basin of cold water, and he immediately calmed down. I'm sorry, team leader, I was too impulsive. Don't worry, in the future, we, the people of Yuzhong, will definitely repay this hatred. The team leader patted his shoulder, and the team set off once again, heading deeper into the Miling Mountain Range. The Miling Mountain Range was extremely vast. Just the three main mining areas occupied an area of tens of thousands of square kilometers. It was almost impossible for this small scout team to search the entire Miling Mountain Range in a short period of time. Logically speaking, the scouts should choose the routes that were less populated and not easily discovered by Yuan Ko. However, after a short period of consideration, the team leader decided to do the opposite. He took the initiative to lead the team to places with more Yuan Ko. His reason was very simple. The more Yuan Ko there were, the more heavily guarded the place was. That was where Yuan Ko was doing bad things. Only by taking the initiative to move forward and explore those places could they complete the task given to them by their superiors, and find out whether Yuan Ko were mining or not. This team leader's idea wasn't bad. This was indeed a method that could quickly complete the investigation, but at the same time, the danger would increase exponentially. They were hiding among so many Yuanli in their invisible state. If they accidentally came into contact with them, they would be completely exposed. Just now, one of the team members had stepped on a pile of feces and slipped, almost crashing into the body of a bull-eyed demon spider behind him. If it wasn't for the team leader's quick reflexes pulling his body, he might have already been finished. Thanks to this team member's lesson, the rest of the team members began to pay attention to their feet as they moved forward, hoping that they would not step on feces. But the problem was that because a large number of Yuan Ko were gathered here, there was feces everywhere in the Miling Mountain Range. It was a very difficult task to pass through here without getting their shoes wet. After cautiously walking for a while, the team finally found a place where a large number of Yuan Ko were gathered. They quietly crept forward and saw a huge hole in the ground that was about 50 meters wide. I know this place. Isn't this the Luo Jiaping mine? One of the team members exclaimed. When he was an ancient sword wielder, he had stayed in this mine for a whole year. He was very familiar with this place. As long as he saw the surrounding stones, he would be able to recognize this place. The Luo Jiaping mineral vein is a yellow-rich mineral vein. The team leader closed his eyes and thought for a while. Then, he suddenly opened them. All of you wait here. I'll go to the side of the hole and see what they're doing. Let me do it, team leader. You can command us here. Let me do it, team leader. The team can't do without you. A few of the team members said, hoping that they could accept the task of investigating the hole. All of you, shut up. Do you have the ability to pass through those Yuan Ko? The team leader snorted. The closer they got to the hole, the denser the Yuan Ko became. Without outstanding dodging skills and a flexible body, it was impossible to pass through these Yuan Ko. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.